Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganjikidd. I'm Grave Kipper. I'm the Super Choffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. We are going to be doing Emma. Well, I'm not going to be doing Emma. I think the rest of the village already has. Whoa, 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 don't start me. Don't start me. Don't start me. Hello in chat, Sarah and Dean, here early. Today we're doing Emma. I can't stop making that joke though. Today we're doing Emma. I think the rest of the village already has. Oh, don't start me. Don't start me. Yesterday on stream on the Super Choffer channel, we looked at... Make sure you get to watch the criminals who publicly appealed for their victims. We do a podcast. I produce a podcast on this channel. Make sure you have a check out of that. You can check things out on playlists. If you ever have a look on the playlists, there's all sorts of different things on playlists there that I've produced on this channel. And on the lives yesterday, we were looking at Paul Ansell red flags. Now, I'll be clear, right? Thank you in chat. Thank you for your positivity. Thank you. I'll be clear here. I'm not a super expert choffer. I've done psychology at university. I've studied a bit. I've read some books. You know, I've been interested in it. Read some books and failed university. Dropped out. So I'm not a super choffer. I'm not an amazing choffer. I'm just a choffer. I'm on the internet. We're having a bit of fun. And okay, the police are doing their job. I do want to do a full episode about the police. This choffer is slamming, the ex-detective is slamming the police. What's he doing? Slamming the police. Slamming the police. I thought everyone was slamming Emma. People have been. Anyway, look. And this choffer yesterday they did a press conference. So I'm going to get to that. We might get to it today. It's more probable that we won't. It's more probable that goes on the back burner and we do an episode on the police response in general. You know, we sort of review the police response. But that could be considered cutting edge crime news. I think in a way, this choffer, I mean, I like him. What's his name? Williamson, isn't it? Why aren't they writing his name here? It's a bit weird. Anyway, he's pretty good though, I think. I like him. I think he's pretty good. But I think he's a bit miffed that he's not been involved enough. And I think he's a bit miffed at the way the police are dealing with it. This woman in the police interview, just to give you a lowdown from the high ground, I think she's now been put in to sort of sort the shit out. And so she's got some good points and she makes some really good points. There are some other points where I don't quite like it as much. So we could do an episode on police response. I'm not really here, okay, like this is a weird one, but I'm going to say this. I'm not really here to sort of be the arbiter of true crime. I'm a super choffer. I chuff about all different stuff. If you look down my episodes, I'll talk about quite a varied range of stuff. You won't always find it the most interesting in the world. Oh God, he's not doing chuffing. He's not doing conspiracy theories again. I'm not interested in that. He's not debunking a conspiracy theory again, is he? I'm not interested in that. Well, it's all right. You know, what you like will come round again. In general, though, you know, I'm a super choffer. And so this is like a little disclaimer. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be saying, Emma, red flag. Red flag. Everything I find, red flag. We didn't quite finish Paul's episode yesterday. We've still got about 20... What the fuck was that? So it fell off then. Oh no, it was my second camera. Oh no. I've knocked my second camera off. I'm glad I've put them in these metal cages to protect them. Alright, I'm just leaving that now. Okay, it doesn't matter. Come back where you are, Scotty Hottie. Alright, I'm back. Oosh. I just want to make it clear, you know, the purpose of today's episode is to look for every red flag I can in her interviews. I've done Paul yesterday and I'm not fair and balanced. I'm a little bit biased. Ooh. One of those terrible social media people spitting out venomous, libelous rumours. Ooh, no, we're entertainment. We're on the internet and we're looking at every angle. There is something else, another way of looking at this. I don't know if anyone's heard of Edward de Bono. This is a bit random at the start, but Edward de Bono. Edward de Bono. Edward de Bono, thinking is a skill. I got his book when I was a kid. Do you know why I got it? This is a strange story. I went in the bookshop and there was a book out and it was all colours on the front and all hats. And I was like, oh, look, here it is, 6 Thinking Hats. 6 Thinking Hats. You can get this book. It's a book. Or what it is, it's like a website. You know, like a website, like you're looking at here, except they printed every page out onto a piece of paper. You know paper, you remember paper. You see it in the toilets these days. Where else do you see paper? That's about it, just in the toilets, isn't it? You just have toilet paper and that's it. But it used to be that you get all this paper and they'd write all the words on it and then put it in it's like a book, they called it, a book. And I read this book when I was a kid, and what it says about in the 6 Thinking Hats is a way to think about a subject And like Edward de Bono's a smart chuffer. A way to think about a subject, if you're a bit confused and you don't know what decision to make and stuff like that, it's about lateral thinking, is you put on different hats. I don't literally have to change my hat. Okay, I don't literally have to change my hat. But like you put on your I think this hat, and then you put on I think that hat. I'm going to be critical today, and then I'm going to be very positive, and then I'm going to give it a pass where I look at it with this hat. You know, like he had different hats. I can't remember all exactly which hats he had. They all had different colours. So what I'm saying is today I'm putting on my You're a Chuffer hat, and I'm saying, oh, I don't know about you, you chuffer. Looking at the interviews that Emma's done with different outlets, and the big one that she did with Channel 5. And if we get time, we might look at the police, but I think that might have to be a separate episode. And if we get time, we'll finish off the episode we were doing about Paul, because we've still got about 10 minutes left of Paul's testimony to go through. But what we're doing now, disclaimer, you know, I might not be telling this just for entertainment purposes only. All ideas from my spirit guide, you know, disclaimer. But like, let's have a bit of fun. Way, because someone's died. Oh, but you know what I mean? Like, let's not take life too serious all the time. Although this is quite serious. And main thing, I'd like the people that have done it to get caught so that they could go, you know, up against the judge, and Nicola could be like, there's some honour in her truth coming through even after her death. And her children, you know, they've got to grow up in this world. And it's these chuffers that are going to look after them. So, there we go. That's my little disclaimer. I'm going to try and get right into it for you. I'm going to try and get right into it. So, this is Missing Woman. This was this was the oldest one I could find 13 days ago. If anyone's got any videos they want me to analyse, pop it in the comments. We're gonna hit 1,000 subs really soon. I'm really grateful to this new boost of people. I'm really grateful to the old people that have been here for years as well. But if we hit that 1,000 subs, it means that I can set up a members thing on the channel, and that means that I can allow you more of a guiding force, where I can give you some choices. You can tell me what you want, and I can put it up to the vote, and then members get to choose which video we react to, and you know who I do the body language for. That's a system I want to start introducing. Other ideas and stuff will come. So at the moment, just put your ideas in the comments. Just tell me videos you want me to look at, and I'll try and put them all on a list, and you know, we'll see which ones make the grade, so to speak. Thanks for your confidence in chat there. Thanks for your confidence in chat. Right, let's hear what she's got to say. This chuffer.
So the community come out in force.
And for all the friends and family, how are you all coping?
Yeah, I mean...
So first question, and this is like 2 weeks ago now. It was like much closer to the time. Much closer to the time.
I think today has been a bit of a pinnacle. As you said, it's 7...
She thinks today's been a bit of a pinnacle. It's a strange... I mean, I can't remember exactly what was happening on that particular day, but a pinnacle, that's a strange word already. And remember, I'm going to try and get through this, but also what I do is the way I do it, and some people like it. I hope people like it. I'm a bit nitpicky. So every damn word, and it'll take us hours, but like, pinnacle. What do you mean a pinnacle? A pinnacle. Today's been the pinnacle of my search for my dead friend. What? The pinnacle? Don't you mean the trough, the depths, the worst bit? Or has this been a big high today? You've been having the pinnacle. Pinnacle's like you're up somewhere really high, isn't it? You're up on top of a mountain. A pinnacle. It's a bit of a strange word I would warrant at this point. Also yesterday, I'm going to bring this up because I need to, it's part of the red flags actually. I want this picture of Nicola Bulley CCTV. I'm not happy with the CCTV. I'm just not. Even after I've slept on it and thought, well, you know, I'm saying this for a bit of conjecture, a bit of conversation, but do I think that? Yeah, actually, I don't like this face on the CCTV. I don't know if that looks like Nicola. I don't know if that sharp cheekbone is the same bone structure as Nicola. And I don't like this big mark on the face. I can't see how CCTV creates that as an artifact. It's like, it almost looks like you've been clonked on the face, punched in the face. And it looks like the sort of thing that, you know, if you'd come a bit of a wallop in a Barney or something, it looks like the sort of thing, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but the sort of thing that a woman could hide with heavy makeup. And you might not notice it on someone's face. You're going to say, oh, but that's the wrong side of the face, though, you idiot. It's the wrong side of the face. Okay. It's the wrong side of the face. But on these other CCTV pictures here, where you see this other side of the face, there's still some sort of darker patch here. Is that makeup already? Is that just the makeup that she's wearing, or is it stuff on her face, or was it a mask? You know, we don't like that. we're not sure about this, and we don't like the, or I don't, I'm just going to say I don't like the way the hair looks. I think there's something a bit artificial looking about the hair. I don't know what it is. It could just be the way the hair is and the way it ties up. It looks like a helmet or a wig, but there's something about it. Just feels a bit, and it's a very ashen grey as well. I mean, the colours are difficult on this because we're saying that's supposed to be a black jacket as well, and it's not. It's clearly blue, and we can clearly see the whites in this shot. And the whites, if something's going to be off colour and it's going to show the blacks as blues, then the whites would also be off, wouldn't they? Other colours would be off, but apparently she's all dressed in black, but it looks like she's all dressed in blue. We don't like that, don't understand that. And we talked about gym clothes yesterday. This was something rattling around my mind, is yesterday we actually quickly mentioned gym clothes. Gym clothes. And when I searched for it, because it was his gym clothes we were looking for, Paul's, or was it the day before? I don't remember. But when we searched for it, I got a lot of women in gym clothes. And I said, that's not what I want. That would be Nicola in the gym clothes if that was the case. And I thought to myself, they described her as wearing jeans. That's what they described her as wearing. She's out, she's wearing black, tight jeans. And it just, I was thinking about these pictures. Those legs there, are they jeans? They could be jeggings, maybe jeggings. But they're not jeans, are they? They're a bit too tight for jeans for me. They're blue, but we were told that they were black. So that, again, that confuses me. And are they gym clothes? Is she wearing gym clothes underneath? Could it be that Nicola intended to go to the gym herself on a Friday? And maybe that was her routine, and maybe that was interrupted. Maybe there's something else there. Maybe they expected her to be out longer on a Friday because she goes from there to the gym, and instead she didn't come home from the gym. But she went out with her gym clothes and her water bottle, all like she was going to go to the gym. Maybe it's her that's wearing gym clothes under that big coat. I don't know. In mind, I was going to call you Mindflow then, but Mind Off W. She's wearing gym clothing in the chat there. I'll pick that comment because it completely agrees with what I said. So I'll live in my own echo chamber here. Thank you. I don't know. I'm just throwing things up and out there. Just throwing things up and out there. Just like garbage content. This is. It's not though, is it? It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm hopefully saying things that other people haven't said, and I'm hopefully having some original ideas, and hopefully I'm not going to go over and over the same thing over and over and repeat myself too much. So with that said, we can go back to this. The pinnacle. Today was the pinnacle. This is why, because at first I wasn't so sus of Emma. I thought she seemed reasonable, but I didn't look into her too deeply. I just saw a bit of one of her interviews. I was more focused on Paul. Now we're red flagging Emma. So there's my first one in the first 3 seconds of what you've said.
7 days on. I think today has been a bit of a pinnacle. As you said, it's 7 days on. So the community come out in force today. I've
got to stop it though. Yeah, you're saying about these photos in chat as well. Look, the colour of her hair. I used to be a hairdresser. There's different kinds of blonde. Yeah, she's got an ash blonde, a very heavy ash. Like no one has a naturally ashy tone really in their blonde. Everyone tries to get that colour through hair dye. Like she's coloured her hair to make it an ash blonde, and Nicola herself, if I just go for Nicola, which is what Paul did, isn't it? Just go for Nicola. Oh, hey. And I don't mean bonking. Nicola's got a more golden tone to her hair. There's a bit more ash at her roots where she's got natural greys, but she's going for a more golden tone. You can actually see it against her skin and the blue here. It's a more golden tone to her hair. It just is. It's a bit of a warmer tone. So going back to these pictures again, we've got a much, much more ashy tone to this hair. Like, it's blonde, don't get me wrong, but like, Emma. Do you know something else, right? Do you know why I get a funny feeling about Emma? Okay. I used to live at Bristol University. I went to university, west of England. I went to the university in Bristol, which is quite a nice university, I'll have you know, in the University West of England. And so I went to the old Polytechnic. I didn't go to the posh one, but I did go to Bristol. It was quite cool. Anyway, when I was there, I stayed in this flat. My girlfriend used to stay in this other flat with these mates, like a halls of residence thing. And I used to go around there all the time, and there was all girls in this flat, and food used to keep going missing. And over the year, they all thought honestly, they all thought it was me. To the point where my girlfriend questioned me about it, and I was like, I'm not eating their food. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to eat their chocolate bar. I'm not bothered. Like, I'm not in the fridge at night. It's not me. And then, like, we had all this, like, the food thief, and something would go missing, and they'd be like, oh, the food thief's taking it, and they'd be like, eyes raised and accusations thrown, but no one would ever get to the bottom of it. And they all thought it was me, and the reason they couldn't get to the bottom of it is because it wasn't me, was it? because they thought it was me, but it wasn't me. So they were on the wrong track. They were confused. And what happened is at the end of the year, right, this girl, and the reason Emma comes up is because that was her name, but I'm not naming any names. But at the end of the year, they were all clearing out the rooms, and, you know, we're doing the old clear out because everyone had to move out. And Emma wasn't there for some reason. I think she'd left a few days early, and they had, like, you know, her room was available for the cleaner to come in and do the cleaning. And they were taking out these bin bags, and the girls in her flat were like, hang on, what's all this? And the cleaners were like, oh, you know, it's in the room, it's rubbish, or whoever was like doing it. And they were like, hang on, let me look. And they opened it up, and it was absolutely full of boxes, cake boxes, Sara Lee, Viennetta, you know, all the wrappings from all that food that had gone missing over the year were all in this big black bin bag. This one girl, Emma, had been choffing it. And okay, it's sad because, you know, eating disorder. It's actually kind of sad. And if we'd have known, we'd have talked to her about it and said, listen, you can have as many chocolate bars of mine as you want, but it's the eating and the secrecy that you've got an issue with. Let's talk about it. Maybe. Let's get you some help. That would have been nice. But in the end, it was her. And I copped all, bear in mind, I copped all the blame for this over the course of a year. All the raised eyebrows, all the Like, she must have just been doing it when I was round. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's round again. Quick. I'm going to snaffle that Sara Lee. Yeah, so I've got a bit of a funny... Since that day, and I'm quite prepared to say I'm biased, I've got a bit of a chip on my shoulder about certain types of people who are deceitful, and she was like this one, she was heavy makeup, she was like, oh no, who's stolen all the stuff? I shouldn't do an impression because everyone's going to know who she is. Yeah, it's by the by. Oh, who's stolen all the cakes? Oh, I don't know. Oh, who could that be? It can't be me. I like going to the... She talked like Mick Jagger. I like going to the gym. Like, you know, she was all like... I can't do her voice. She was all like that, though. You know, all... It can't be me. I go to the gym. And then, like, turns out she's going to the fucking cafe at the gym, wasn't she? She's going on the treadmill, and she's putting like Jaffa cakes on the treadmill and watching them come down. You pour the Jaffa cakes at the top, I'll put my mouth at the bottom. Treadmill. Yeah, so anyway, I got a bad vibe from her. The whole year I got a bad vibe from her, and it turned out she'd been snaffing all this stuff. So people can be deceitful. People can, you know, be very one way to your face and another way behind your back as well. And yeah, I got a chip on my shoulder about women called Emma.
As I said, it's 7 days on, so the community come out in force today. If
I did have a chip on my shoulder, I'd be much more popular with Emma, wouldn't I? She'd want some tomato sauce to dunk it in. Anyway, look.
7 days on, so the community come out in force today. We've got banners. The community
came out in force today. Almost like a police force. It's interesting use of language. I've got a frame on. I've got a frame on to see if I can spot anything. She's outside. She's talking to the news. And if she's guilty, what she's doing is she's trying to appear like she's just trying to find Nikki. And what Emma's got in her favour is she appears to have been given the job of sort of like leading this campaign. Or at least it was mentioned in the chat, and I'm pretty sure it's true, although I haven't seen the verified, you know, evidence or whatever, the receipts. But apparently Emma was the one who started a GoFundMe campaign for an extraordinary amount of money. And then when that seemed very crass, she cut it down. And then when that seemed even more crass, she decided to bin it off. Just like a friend. Emma was the one who seemed a bit tacky and a bit greedy and graspy to people on the internet. We'll say that, yeah? Yeah, we'll say that. But also what it meant is she's like, you know, Paul, you're upset, you know, you do this, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to, you know, stand out and be the front person to this thing. And it's an interesting point that if you love your friend and you want to do anything to help them, you probably would do that. I mean, I would. I'd probably be prepared to give up. I'm just thinking about this. Like, you know, my friend down the road, I probably haven't seen him for about a month because, you know, how things go. But my old mate Guesty down the road, if he disappeared, I think I'd have to be around their house all the time supporting Katie, and I shouldn't say everyone's name, should I? But, you know, I'd have to be around there all the time, you know, being like, are you all right? Do you need anything? Like, I'm sure we're going to find him. He's off just round somewhere, probably drunk, you know, rolling around somewhere. We'll find him, you know, don't worry. And at the same time, I'd want to be out there. You know, I'd want to be out there. I'd want to be asking questions. So it does seem okay that she's out there, doesn't it? It does seem okay in that front. But then another aspect of it is you get to be right at the front. You're leading the... Like, you're you're sort of blowing up this smoke screen. You're leading the charge out where, you know, look over there. And what do you think, police? And, you know, you're involved heavily in this process, aren't you? Which is possibly another worry. Like, if you were guilty, you might think, oh, I just want to disappear. I want to get out of here. Don't want to be part of the investigation. Don't want them looking at me. But if you can't and you're on the scene and you have to be, you might want to be part of it, mightn't you? To get in and... someone in chat here, Fallon says, podcast body language readers think Paul seems innocent, but psychics and most public think Paul's guilty. We'll see. I'll tell you what's interesting. If I were a body language channel purely, and I said this, and this, and plagued my fingers on stamping the mast. Hello, Snips. Hello, Uncontrolled Historian. If you're in chat, check this out. Snips, Uncontrolled Historian. Things are popping off. You know, Rudy and the Dogs, you know, I've been doing this a couple of years now, you know, like, I've got new people in chat now, and I'll never forget you, Snips. I'll never forget you, Rudy and the Dogs. I'll never forget, you know, do you know what I mean? Uncontrolled Historian, I'll never forget words on stream. But, like, things are building now, which is really, I'm really grateful. If only Nicola Bulley could vanish every day. Shh, don't say that. That's awful. If only, I'm glad that Paul's not been caught by the police, because maybe he'll kill again and there'll be more content. Don't start me. Don't start me. But yeah, so you'd want to be involved in this investigation, wouldn't you? Body language readers think that, okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you pinned your flag on a mast and you had to say, you know, in public, I think this about this, and then it turned out to not be that, maybe that discredits you in some way. I'm going to say that if it turns out I'm completely wrong, fine, good, lucky, great, she's not dead. Let's get her back home with the kids. That would be wonderful. I'd like to be proved wrong. And then I'd just say, look, I'm just a normal chuffer. I had ideas, and it turned out I'm not always bang on with every idea, but it was fun on the ride, and you all came on the ride too, and we all thought it. And, you know, we can all make mistakes. Humans can make mistakes. I'm happy to be human. I think they might err on the side of whatever seems most cautious for their content, maybe. I don't know. And the thing about the psychics is, I'm not going to say that through this year, if you want, we'll get a psychic in. I'm open-minded. I'll get a psychic into the room, hopefully, in here, and we can have a chat with them. Like, I'll get them on stream and stuff like that. I'm not so... I'm a bit about psychics in this sense, though. A bit of fun, a bit of a tarot read, a bit of stuff like that. Okay, but serious stuff about someone's mom that's been murdered, let's leave it to the professionals, and I'm not so happy with the psychics. They can be proven to get things wrong, some of the psychics. So, I you know, the body language people and all that, maybe they get it right, maybe they get it wrong, but the psychics have been proven to get it wrong in the past, so I worry about that. Chat does not allow you to send images. Right, okay, Paul. I will deal with that, and then we'll get on with this. I've got a thing called Discord, which I will open. Hooray! It might be that you have to learn a new thing. It's up to you. You don't have to use this. And I go to Ganji stream server, and I just invite... Oh, look, Crawl's done a video, interesting thing for me to watch. See that I've seen a... Let me work this out in my brain. Right, stream server. Invite people. Copy that. I'll put this in chat here, paste. This is Discord. It's like a little forum, and as we build, you'll be able to put all your pictures. It's like everything. It's like chat, but you can do anything you want. You can put all the pictures in. So that's Discord. I've closed it now at my end, but if you want to put pictures in, every now and then I'll open up Discord. I'll look through it and see what people are posting and see if we need to bring it to stream. So there's a way of doing it. Has Emma got OnlyFans? I bloody well wouldn't subscribe. I tell you that. I wouldn't subscribe. Not to OnlyFans. And also, just alighting on the psychic slightly before we finish on that little note. For them, it's like, how do I explain this? Like, if she's not dead, they don't know, because they're psychics and they talk to the dead. So for them, it's quite important that she's dead, because then they can get in on it and say that they know where she is. Do you know what I mean? Like, that makes sense, doesn't it? Like, if she's not dead, what are they saying? Who are they talking to? So for them, it's like the only reason they can get involved is if they say she's dead. So for them, like, it's like if you've got a hammer, every problem's a nail. Like, you know, if you're a psychic, every disappearance is dead. Let's get some more red flags. Let's get the red flags waving. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag.
Placards, face of Nikki.
Oh, those ghost boxes, yeah. Do you know what? Those ghost boxes, I don't like them at all. We will really get started now, we really will, but I'll just quickly, I can't help it, I get diverted. If you're on our channel, which you obviously are, this is YouTube after all, you go to the channel, and then I've done these other channels. If anyone ever fancied looking at them, that's fine. This one's called Mental Health Monday, and we did it for a whole year of content. Every Monday, mental health videos. Lots of people do Mental Health Monday videos, and I'm just one of them. So one of these, though, we had some people talking once about hearing voices. So I did an episode about ghost boxes, talk boxes, ghost talk box or psychosis. And I took it seriously and did an hour and a half talking about whether you ghost your voice boxes or psychosis. So there's a video there about it. I've had a look. I think you want to worry. I think you need to stay in the real world as much as possible. Because let's say the ghost world exists. This is just a quick, time out for that topic. Let's say ghost world exists and it's all a real thing, and like spirit realm. Like when you die, you go there and you're supposed to. Yeah? It's pretty obvious that at the moment when we're alive, we're not supposed to be messing with that shit. Like, it's not like, God came down from heaven and said, you can still talk to your granddad. Don't ignore him now he's dead. Don't ignore him now he's dead. No, I think it's fine that we ignore him now he's dead. In little ways, they get their messages through, I believe. In little ways, you get those visions of hope and little feelings that someone's with you. But in other ways, I don't think it's like necessarily mentally healthy to be worrying yourself about the spirit realm while you've got a physical body and a life to live, an actual life to live. So the day-to-day, the reality, the getting things done, let's do that sort of stuff. And let's be less scared and worried about, like that spirit realm stuff. Maybe just for your own mental health, maybe just for that. And then if it's something that really interests you and you want to investigate it at certain times, maybe allocate some time to do it. But I would worry about anyone, and what I'm saying is I worry about them. I'm not saying I believe this and you can't believe that. I'm just saying I worry about somebody who maybe late at night is listening to voices in their head and thinking it's spirits, or is troubled by voices that are coming to them and can't just live their actual real life. Like, because your real life's the main thing, isn't it? Yeah, okay, Nikki. Let's have some more Nikki. There never seems to be enough Nikki.
We've got banners.
Doesn't she look like that one from Big Brother? That one who tragically died of eating disorders. I did an episode on eating disorders as well. Like savage, sad stuff.
We've got banners, placards, face of Nikki, who to contact if they see anything. The community once again has come out in force. The community's been doing work all week. We've had organised walks, and people have come out in their drones from all over.
She got a word wrong then. She said people have come out in their drones. She got a word wrong. She meant to say droves, but she got a word wrong. She said drones, which belies the idea that it's troubling her, that it's on her mind, this drone. She doesn't like the idea the drone is being used. The drone is looking down from up and above in the air. So there's something about that. We heard the idea of pinnacle earlier as well. That's a suggestion of height. When we went through Paul's interview, we picked out some particular pieces about height and pillars. Remember pillars of strength? The way he described Nikki as being a pillar of strength, which in today's cold light of day, we haven't even started on the police statement of her being vulnerable, which wasn't the only thing they said, but it came out in their presser. I did talk about it briefly yesterday and how I feel about it. I think I still feel that way. I still think we shouldn't be victim shaming, and if we were looking for someone who was potentially suicidal, we should have known from day one, because it would have affected how we searched for them and how we approached them if we found them. And the police have been very sus with that. I don't like that. So here we've got drones that she accidentally said.
We've had organised walks, and people have come out in their drones from all over the county.
I mean, you've had an incredible response, haven't you? You're saying that around 100 people or more.
This is nice that man's holding that sign, right? But I'll tell you what really makes me angry here, and this actually makes me angry, is someone's paid for that sign. I used to run a business, I used to run a hairdresser's, and I had to get print flyers for my hairdressers. I had to print signs, come and get your haircut, you chuffer. Like, print these things. And I go to the company, and I say, I just want this in A4, and they're like, oh, that's about £300. And you're like, what? Can you get any cheaper? And they're like, yeah, but it's postage stamp size. It's only little if you have it cheaper. And I'm like, well, I want it quite big. And they're like, oh, we're just going to cost you. Do you know how much printing ink costs? Do you want it laminated? Like, honestly, this stuff used to run a budget for me. I used to have to put a budget together for printing stuff. And so it's not cheap, but you've got to get it right. So on this placard, like you're driving past, yeah? I mean, you know about Nicola Bulley anyway, because you're driving through this village and you know about it. But you're driving past and you see that placard. Does that jog your memory about the woman? No, because I can't see her face because the picture's too small. Missing Friday 27th, call 101 is what I've read from there. Okay, I'll get some information as I'm driving past, but it needs to be twice the size and it needs to be all of her face. Like, somebody needs print production lessons. What a waste of money, all that printing. You're not hearing any background music. I've got it really low down. It does exist. I'll turn it up a little bit for you. Ooh, but don't get dangerous because people didn't like it too much yesterday. I got it. It's for me mainly as well. Like, you know, I need to stay relaxed. I need the relaxing background, tinkly music sounds of a nice evening in the foyer of the lobby.
Or today, helping out today. There have been all week. This has really, you know, really affected people, hasn't it? People are...
I mean, they are doing their bit. I really respect that. You know, they're out there, they're holding the signs. The signs might not be best made signs in the world, but they're out there, they're holding them. I mean, they're doing the job of... It's a bit of a racial joke, this one, so I don't know how it's going to go down on the internet, but, you know, my friend used to do a job like this, very much like this. My friend used to do this job until, you know, they came over from the EU with all their, you know, cheap labour, and he lost his job to a Pole. Well, he can have his job back now, can't he, because of Brexit. So anyway, it's only a joke. It's only a joke, look. Polish people are very nice. I used to date one. Look at Emma White in her red coat.
Desperate to know what's happened.
Absolutely, and
we've got that lined up. We've got another Emma White here in red coat, and then we've got Emma White indoors. So I will try and push on. I keep making jokes today. I'm in that sort of mood.
I think you can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother, a daughter, an aunt.
And I'm not being disrespectful to Nicola. You know, we've done some quite serious and some quite extensive, serious bits, but you know, you've got to have some levity as well. And I'll settle in and I'll get a bit more serious. If anyone's finding me a bit too, it's a bit too soon, isn't it? You know, it's only been 21 days since she went missing.
You can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother, a daughter, an auntie, a mummy yourself. You might have children. You might have a dog called Willow. You can resonate with the situation.
Sorry, what? They've edited that, but everyone's. First of all, this is very self-absorbed language. Like, she's saying everyone out there can relate to what Nicola is going through or what has happened because you're a woman. You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a child, you're a grandmother, you're a woman essentially. So you might even have a dog called Willow. Like, what do you mean? That's such a tenuous link. Oh, you know, all these people in Britain with their dogs called Willow can all...
and I think you can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother, a daughter, an auntie, a mummy yourself. You might have children.
You're either a mother, a daughter, an auntie, or a mummy yourself. So you're a woman. Like you then, Nicola. Like, not a man. It's a very strange choice. Like, all the people that are coming out are women, are they? No. We can see all men in the pictures. Why is she so female-based there? What is it that's ticking on her brain there to say that the people that are coming out, you know, everyone can relate to this because they're all women?
I think you can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother, a daughter, an auntie, a mummy yourself. You might have children. You might have a dog called Willow. You can resonate with the situation. I think that's why it has touched so...
I'm going to say something now, right? And it's going to sound fucking savage. So hold your horses, hold your hats. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I'm going to say something now and it's going to sound savage. Do you remember this film, Single White Female? Do you remember this film, Single White Female? Do you remember that? It's about a woman who has a lodger, and the lodger just like is infatuated with her. And so what she does is she like does her hair like her and everything, and then she like nods her off and has her boyfriend. She like shags her boyfriend and then bins her off, or tries to bin her off. It's like a thriller. Oh, stop trying to kill me and be me. Stop trying to be me, you fucking chuffer. Single White Female. Do you remember the hand that rocks the cradle? Do you remember that? Oh, and he didn't do anything, and they all had him for it because he was a bit of a, you know, a bit slow, and possibly because he was black. They had him for it. She couldn't have done anything. She's innocent, virtuous, and blonde, and a lady. But the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world, and she did some bad killings in that film. I'm not saying life is like a drama. I'm not saying life is like a drama or something you see on the TV. I'm not saying that. Paul obviously did say that yesterday when he described, you know, when we watched his interview the other day. Paul described it as life being like a drama or something on the TV, didn't he? He did. He said that what's going on now is very much like something on the TV or a drama. Do you remember that film, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle? You remember these films, yeah? Classics, right? The Fishing Men, I do want to take chat as it's coming up, but it's a slight diversion, right? It's a slight diversion, but the problem with The Fishing Men is that the police and other, we'll talk about this in a little minute. Put a pin in it, and I'll bring it up again when we look at something that Emma says in a bit. But The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, yeah? I've got a nice, seemingly innocent, virtuous blonde lady who's absolutely psychotic. I know it's only a film. I've got Nicola Bulley, who's missing, who seems to have it all. Yesterday, we learned that she didn't quite have it all together, apparently, but she seems to have it all. She's got, you know, looks. She's got the blonde hair. She's skinny. Skinny, you know, I don't want to say words like that. I don't want to give people the idea that skinny's the you know, go-to choice, but ladies seem to want to be svelte, don't they? They seem like going to the gym and keeping toned and all that. You know, she's not struggling with her. She might have been struggling with her family life. She might have been struggling with her mental health. People might be, but to the outside world, to the others, to the, you know, when you're seeing her dropping the kids off at school, she's got a nice car, she's got a husband, she's got a family, good, nice kids. You know, they're keeping up with the Joneses idea was raised in. I was watching True Crime Rocket Science yesterday. Really interesting episode, and my heart goes out to Nick, who suffered his own traumas through his life, and I really respect that guy. So True Crime Rocket Science, big ups. But yeah, he was saying about they might be trying to keep up with the Joneses in this village, and there might be an element of, you know, sort of neighbourly jealousy and wanting to one-up each other. And Nicola appears to have it all going on, doesn't she? Hello, Acoustic Gymnastics. What's good in the hood? We are doing red flags of Emma, and I'm trying to just be harsh on Emma. It's content. I'm not the police, and I'm not some vile rumour mill. I'm just saying ideas on the internet, and, you know, maybe we'll balance it out with some other ideas. But today's slant is this, and that's how it is. So they just have to accept it. Emma here describes what Nikki's. This is so strange to me, actually. I haven't listened to this before, and this is like, remember. Okay, so bear in mind, I'm saying single white female. I'm saying that other film. I'm saying Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I'm saying someone wants what you've got.
All over the county.
I mean, you've had an incredible response, haven't you? You're saying that around 100 people or more today helping out today. There have been all week. This has really, you know, really affected people, hasn't it? People are desperate to know what's happened.
Absolutely, and I think you can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother, a daughter, an auntie, a mummy yourself. You might have children. You might have a dog called Willow. You can resonate with the situation. I think that's
a weird thing, isn't it? You might be a mother, a daughter, an auntie. You might have, like, if you have children, you are a mother. Is Emma a mother?
I think you can all relate to the situation. You're either a mother or a daughter.
You're either a mother or a daughter. Well, you are that. That's you, for sure. You are a mother or a daughter. You're either a mother or a daughter. You're not, are you? In reality, like, someone who's a mother is also a daughter. Like, every mother is a daughter. Like, you are a mother, a daughter. You're not, are you, Nikki? Sorry, Nikki, getting the names wrong now. Emma. Yeah, Emma is a mother. Emma is a mother, it says in chat there. I'm not going to... You see, this is... there are levels here. And like I say, if I was actually like a true crime, like real dirty, gritty, nitty-gritty, have to solve the case on the mean streets with my fedora, you know... If I had to do that, then I'd probably want to know a bit more, go a bit deeper. But I don't really want to know about her kids or anything, because I think that's a level where I'm not prepared to go on the internet. Let's leave the kids out of this. Let's hope that they can maintain some anonymity, and let's hope they don't have to be put in the public eye. So if she's got kids, she's got kids, okay.
An auntie, a mummy yourself, you might have children, you might have a dog called Willow.
But you might have a dog called Willow? That's weird. If she's got children, it doesn't hold my theory so strongly, does it? Because she's already got her own family and kids then, so, you know... irrelevant. But it almost like sounded like she was like, you know, you might have a dog called Willow. Well, you don't, but your friend Emma does. You might have kids. Well, you don't, but your friend Nikki does. You don't, but your friend Nikki does. Like, you might have a dog called Willow seems like really strange language. So that was dark, what I suggested there, that this woman might be jealous of her friend and what she has, and has imagined herself having that stuff herself, being in Nikki's shoes.
A mother, a daughter, an auntie, a mummy, yourself, you might have children, you might have a dog called Willow. You can resonate with the situation. I think that's why it has.
Someone in chat, Mamadi Jacopo, where is her husband Ed White? Probably at work, paying for her to stand out on the side of the road and fuck about with printing signs. Sorry. I mean, look at that banner. Look, you can't see the picture properly. And you can't read the words. The only thing you can take from that banner is the word missing. When people make print production, they need to think carefully about how it will be viewed from a distance, because you can't read any of it. You can't even, like the way they've folded it slightly, you can't even see her face. Do you know what I mean? They need to think carefully. All of that money should have been, instead of lots of little pictures, like, and people stunned around with them, just have one great big picture. It's on the fucking telly anyway.
It's touched so many people. But yeah, again, it's that mystery of unknown. So like,
who's getting this money together and who's spending it? Who's organising the kitty and who's spending money? It reminds me of the way the Conservative government run our country. You know, we all pay our taxes and they're like, oh, thanks for that. My friend's got a business that needs supporting. My friend's got a business that needs supporting. Why don't we buy loads of things from my friend? Oh, my daughter's on the board of this company. Why don't I invest in that? Like, oh, don't worry, it's just your tax money. It's mine now. Like, where's this money come from? Why are they putting it in a kitty? And why they make... I know it seems like it could just be naivety to print these banners. And like I said, I've been in a situation running a business, and this is what angers me about this, is I've been running a business where times have been tough through the credit crunch, when I was a hairdresser, I had my own salon, and like little decisions like this matter. Like, if you've got a fighting fund and you're trying to find someone, don't just piss the money away like that. Like, maybe someone's volunteered to print that. Great. That'd be lovely. But it just feels like money's being spent and people are busying themselves. Do you know what I mean? Busying themselves. Like, how have you got time to be thinking about that when you should be out there looking as well? There's some stuff I don't quite like about this. Just some stuff I don't quite like about it. Where do I live? I live in the Midlands in the UK. I live in a nice little town in the Midlands in the UK, near Birmingham and Coventry, somewhere around there. I'm not going to say exactly, because like Paul might come around and murder me.
I said, it's feeling eerie now that we're a week on, and then in 15 minutes' time for Nikki to vanish, and we have no further information of where she's gone, what's happened.
We can see from the numbers of people who are trying to help what Nicola means to people. Just tell us a little bit about her. What's she like?
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes itself. Nikki is just a genuinely lovely, lovely person. This
is a bit weird. We're not seeing her, it's edited, but she said that speaks volumes itself. So instead of saying the answer to the question, she gave herself a buffer to think, which is okay. You know, you're on telly, you're doing an interview, you might just need that. Like, sometimes in language, I say a lot. I catch myself doing it all the time in the edit. I'm saying a lot. You're saying a lot there. But you might just say some stuff, like I'm doing now, that doesn't have much of anything in it, that gives you some space to put the words together that really matter. So that might be okay.
Itself, Nikki is just a genuinely lovely, lovely person. You'll see the images of her.
She's a genuinely lovely, lovely person. It's a bit of a worry in one aspect because, yeah, you're repeating it to drive the point home, but also when you're trying to deceive, you make repetitions and you over-exaggerate. If you're confident about something, you might say, Nicola's lovely. But if you, oh no, she's genuinely, really, honestly, she's a lovely, lovely person. It's a bit over-egging the pudding, but...
Nikki is just a genuinely lovely, lovely person. You'll see the images of her, and that's reflected inside as well. She's not only beautiful on the outside, beautiful on the inside. She's caring. She loves animals. She loves nature. She loves her girls, her dog, her family is a world. You heard yesterday when you did your interview.
That's a nice picture, isn't it? I think Paul could have his face made a little bit bigger. I think if you're going to retake it, you might want to make your face a little bit bigger in the picture there, Paul. Otherwise, it could look a little bit creepy, couldn't it?
He's saying he speaks to the girls, his girls, as in Lou and Nikki.
Lots of killers love being in front of the cameras. Remember Ian Huntley and Maxine Carr? Yes, I certainly do. Check out our latest episode of Thus. I run a podcast on this channel. I produce my own little podcast, I've just recently started over the last year, and we get forensic psychologist Steve of the Dead to come and talk about criminals who publicly appeal for their victims, and one of those was Ian Huntley and Maxine Carr. We talked about it briefly, well, for 40 minutes in that episode there. Yeah, you're right, they do like being in front of the cameras, some of them, or maybe it's also like I was asking Steve about reasons why people might want to be in front of the camera, and he said narcissism came out in some of these people, so we were going to do an episode on narcissism next. He's suffering from COVID at the moment, but one of the things that stands out to me as well is that the cameras are there, and like, this is me just again with my my spirit guide conjecture. The spirit guides are telling me, which I obviously, therefore you can't sue me for that because it was the spirit guides and not me, and just for entertainment purposes only, but I think that it might be what was I lose my train of thought. What was I saying? In front of the camera, yeah. It might be that you have a desire, like if you've done something, they always say the killer's returned to the scene of the crime as well. That's another like thing they say. But if you've done something and you're worried about it, like you're involved and you're worried, you could either go about your daily business and hope that no one notices, in which case that might look quite weird because everyone's looking for Nicola. So you can't really just go about your daily business. What would you normally do in this situation? It's not a normal situation. So now you're in it and you're thinking about what you've got to do to try and cover your back. And it might be that you want some sort of element of control as well. It might be that you want some insider information. And it might be that you believe that if you could get the public on your side, certainly with the Madeleine McCann case and what happened with Shannon Matthews as well, there was like Madeleine McCann's parents became millionaires, and they took that Madeleine fighting fund and they made themselves directors, and then they changed the reason for the fighting fund to include we can have the money and pay our mortgage. So like there is like a financial incentive to it as well. And the idea that she's already set up that GoFundMe was well dodged. I haven't seen it myself. Let me just Google that. Emma White GoFundMe Nicola Bulley. Google. Did she, is there see, I'm not seeing any like legit factual evidence that happened, but I'm led to believe it happened, and then she deleted it. I'd like to see the actual factual evidence of that somewhere, but anyway.
Single day or sees them, and then they are, his words, a close-knit family, they really are. And I go back to those two little girls now missing their mummy, and that's why we're here. Just anything we can get, any information we can glean to give. And
I go back to those two little girls who are missing their mummy. Like, you go back there to Paul, do you? Like,
give them that hope. That's why we're here.
And there is still hope, isn't there? Yeah,
there has to be. I won't lie, it's diminishing. Today's a real... I can't describe the feeling I've got going on here. And as all our other friends and family do.
That's interesting. I can't describe it. And the idea that I can't say something. Type Nicola Bulley GoFundMe. You typed it wrong. Okay, I'll have a look. I got smart. I'll tell you what. Yesterday we had someone in chat and they asked, said something, and I was like, oh no, I don't know about that. It was about the recent news, wasn't it, about her alcoholism? Because sometimes people can try and distract you in the chat and just say things like R.I.P. Joe Rogan and stuff. But I actually have really smart people in my chat, and I trust you to. I shouldn't say this because now I'll have you, reading out names that sound rude or something. But Nicola Bulley GoFundMe taken down. HITC. What is HITC? Gaming culture. I mean, not the most. All right, look, I don't want your damn cookies. Not the most. Like, who are these people that have done this website? I don't know, but she apologised for getting it wrong. It says, and there's a tweet about it. 100 grand, 50 grand, 5 grand to say, bring Nikki home. Sought to raise 100 grand following. Apparently there are quotes here that say that Emma, said this. But again, I'm not seeing the actual images of the GoFundMe, and like I'm not seeing Emma saying it. But I'm prepared to sort of, put it in the back burner, in the back pocket as like this probably happened. Here's someone outraged on Reddit. So this is a more, but you can knock that up on Photoshop. Yeah. Like you can actually knock that up on Photoshop, but that's what I'm looking for is, the actual image of the GoFundMe and seeing it. I'd rather I'd be able to click on it, and see it. Sorry, it doesn't exist anymore. But if that is the case, then there are two ways to look at that, of course. You could try and give her a pass and say, we're going to need a lot of money because Nicola's not bringing in a wage anymore. And, people do this sort of thing. But they usually do it when they know the outcome or when the police... Like, you might think you need that money and then the police might find her after 2 days, mightn't they? So when it becomes clear that you need a fighting fund to do a search and a deeper investigation, then you might request when you know what you want to spend the money on. But just the idea that in the early days she's done that smells very guilty as well, because she backtracked on it as well, so she wasn't prepared to stand her ground and say, no, this is like something we really need to do. And it belies the idea that you've got that guilty knowledge that you're going to need this money because Nicola's not going to be found, because, so there's these other reasons why that seems bad. Paul says, check my Discord. I will try to. How do I see my... I'm not brilliant at using Discord, you see, and it's confusing to me, so I'm going to stop trying to now, because I'll look at it offline and in as we go. There's always more episodes, don't worry.
There's the sadness, there's the heartache, there's the worry, there's the what if, but then mix it all up, you've got this hope in there that...
Dirk Aslan, a comparison with the Paul and Chris Watts interview. There is a really good comparison out there on YouTube from someone who I think did a really good episode, so I think I'll let them take their flowers on that one. Let me just quickly find it. What's his name? He's Paul Chris Watts. If I do that. This guy, Luke Kelly, has done this video of the similarities.
Guilty. Now Paul smiles on at least 2 occasions.
So he's brought up those similarities. So I quite agree with a lot of what he said. So I'll give him his flowers and say, great video, bro. And yeah, it's a good idea though. It's a good idea. I mean, I agree with him so much that I don't want to steal his thunder there, and I want to let him have his flowers on that one. Yeah, really good spot.
So you don't know whether you're good, bad, ugly, and it's...
What?
There's the heartache, there's the worry, there's the what if, but then mix it all up, you've got this hope in there that... So you don't know whether you're good, bad, ugly, and it's... So, and you have to have that hope, we have to carry that.
You don't know whether you're good, bad, or ugly. What?
I can't describe the feeling I've got going on here, there's...
So you can't describe it because you're not allowed to, because if you describe your actual feelings, then you're going to grass yourself up, because you'll say, I feel really guilty because I murdered my friend and I was involved in the cover-up, or what have you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's my red flag there. If I'm looking for red flags and I'm planting them and I'm being really harsh on her, and I'm looking at it from the lens or with the hat on that says, this hat today is that she's done it. Let's find all the things that add up in the pros and cons column. Do you know what I mean? Like, that one's a bit of a worry, like a huge worry.
I can't describe the feeling I've got going on here.
I can't describe it because I'm not able to, because if I say the truth, then issues.
And as all our other friends and family did, there's the sadness, there's the heart.
And as all of her other friends and family did, there's the sadness, there's the heartache. So instead of describing my feelings, I'm going to describe the feelings of her other friends and family.
There's the worry, there's the what if.
The what if.
But then mix it all up, you've got this hope in there.
Mix it all up is a bit of it. She's doing a lot of this. You can hear it in, like, you can hear her clothes brushing against her. She's like gesturing towards herself when she says mix it all up. I believe she does this inside herself. Mix it all up. That's a, let's say that's a flag. We were looking at Paul about how when you've got subconsciously ideas in your head and in your brain, you're visualizing this like disposal of a body, then words come out, and they're not saying I did it, but like words come out. Like when Stuart Hazell, the person who murdered Tia Sharp and gaffer taped her body up in the loft, when he was talking, he said that they've been stuck in the house all day. And that was weird because like she was stuck up in the loft literally by gaffer tape. So I don't like some of that, what she's saying there.
There's the worry, there's the what if, but then mix it all up, you've got...
mix it all up like this.
This hope in there that, so you don't know whether you're good, bad, ugly, and it's...
You don't know whether you're good, bad, ugly, and then a shake of the head and a one half shoulder raise, which is not good body language for this sort of thing. The half shoulder raise, the sort of like, you know, goes with the believe me look, it goes with the duper's delight, that sort of stuff, the half shoulder raise. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And yeah, saying in chat here, Northern Lass Ellie, like saying in chat that sounds like a script. Absolutely. It sounds like they've got their ideas together and she's decided what she's going to say. And Tatula saying that they're trying to create confusion is something I totally agree with as well. Is that it's like the Madeleine McCann playbook 101, isn't it? You get out there, you control the narrative, and you create loads and loads of it could be's, ifs, buts, and what have yous, phantoms, lines of inquiry. You make that police the busiest they've ever been over the next 3 weeks until they're so fed up with running around after their tail, chasing their tail. You know, they can't even begin to start looking at you. And do you know what I mean? It's that sort of feeling I get from this. I don't like it. Don't like it at all.
So, and you have to have that hope. We have to carry that glimmer, that torch, whatever you...
You have to have that hope. No, you do have to have it if you want to hope to find her alive and, you know, to carry on in a positive way, yes. But also another person might say, well, you have to be realistic. She could be dead. Do you know what I mean? You have to, what you have to do depends on who you are and what the context is. What you have to do is pretend that she's still alive and get everyone searching for her. You have to have that hope. Because if you decide that to say she might have been murdered and let's look at all those options, then you have to have the spotlight thrown back on Paul. And it seems that that's not what you and Paul want.
On a call of hope, we have to carry that.
You have to carry that.
Bad, ugly, and it's... So, and you have to have that hope. We have to carry that.
You have to carry that.
Bad, ugly, and it's... So, and you have to have that hope. We have to carry that.
What have you been carrying? What have you been helping help carry? What do you have to help carry? What do you have to carry?
Glimmer, that torch, whatever you want to call, of hope.
Hope. A glimmer, a torch of hope. A torch. At night time. A torch. Are you talking about like a Statue of Liberty now? Are you imagining the Statue of Liberty in your mind with like a torch? Are you imagining like Game of Thrones or like, you know, like a dwarf with a torch? Do you know what I mean? In fantasy fiction, like a flaming torch? Or are you imagining a torch like at night time you've been carrying something and you've been using a torch? Is that what you're telling me? Like subconscious. Bear in mind, right? You remember talking about spirit guides and stuff. Like, bear in mind what Darren Brown does and other great psychology readers, and the people who are successful, whether the spirits are talking to them or not, the people who can read into people's body language and the things they say and bring out what's going on underneath in their subconscious. And they think, oh, how did you know that? I didn't tell you that, but really, you did tell it. You did tell it. And what you just told me then was something about carrying a torch at night, which there's been a suggestion in chat since the last broadcast, which I thought was really interesting, is the idea that I was saying Nicola might not have left the house that morning. I was saying I don't like the CCTV, and I don't think Nicola necessarily is the one that left the house in the morning. I was saying I'm not happy with that. And that I wasn't sure if this looked like Nicola even in the first place, and the other view that we had on it, didn't we? We've got this other angle. CCTV, get it. Let's get it up. Get it up, you chuffer. Calm down. Let's have open image in a new tab. Thank you. And close that. So I don't like this very sharp cheekbone, mark on face. I don't know what's going on. And I think there's something about this face. I know it's a very difficult to see CCTV image, and I might be wrong, but I just don't think it looks like these images of Nicola that I've been seeing in the media. I don't think she wears a makeup like that. I don't think it has that sharp cheekbone angle. I just don't like it, you know. And the idea that came up in the chat was that she might have died the night before and that this has been prepared overnight. And then they've gone into action in the morning with their plan. You know, maybe this all happened. Maybe I didn't think wide enough with Paul, and Emma here. And the idea that we were suggesting or talking about was that in some way someone got disturbed, maybe having an affair. And yeah, in chat there, it didn't look like the right clothes as well, does it? You know, hairline as well, yeah, hairline. It's hard to see, isn't it? It's hard for me to get a read on that CCTV. Nicola's got a more square hairline here. And her parting's over to the side, but it's almost like, you know, more square, I suppose, across the front there. Whereas this hairline comes up. The way the hair comes down, swept down behind the ears, it's like it comes up to a point. I don't know. You know, I don't know. So, I've even lost my train of thought slightly here, but let's go.
Got this hope in there that. So
oh yeah, they're carrying a torch. You're carrying something in a torch. So I was saying if they disposed of Nicola that morning, you've got an hour window where Paul, you know, had to do something that morning. You know, you take the kids to the school and I'll dispose of the body, sort of thing. But it could be not, couldn't it? It could be that somebody's been walking around with a torch, carrying something. So that's something that's now been thrown up, a big red flag that Emma has said out of her own mouth. She's carrying a torch. And what she means is, of course, that she's holding a light in the darkness for Nicola to come home. Carrying a torch for someone means that... Actually, what the fuck am I saying? Carrying a torch for someone means that you love them and you're not able to have them. You carry a torch for them all your life. You've always got that burning love inside. You know, you carry a torch for someone. Let me just check that. See that I'm right. Carry a torch for someone you secretly admire or love them. So that's really dodgy to say that, isn't it? You're using the wrong words. We know what you mean, that you're holding out hope. But what you've actually said is carrying a torch.
And as all our other friends and family do, there's the sadness, there's the heartache, there's the worry, there's the what if. But then mix it all up, you've got this hope in there that, so you don't know whether you're good, bad, ugly, and you have to have that hope. We have to carry that glimmer, that torch, whatever you want to call, of hope. We have no information, and that's why it's so important for you guys to do what you're doing. The police have done tremendous efforts. The community have come together. For all that work, we have...
There was the police, she was like in her stride there, and then she went, the police have come together.
Full of hope. We have no information, and that's why it's so important for you guys to do what you're doing. The police have done tremendous efforts. The community have come together. For all that work...
For all that work... And then she like sighs. Something about for all that work. Is there like a sense of guilt there that, you know, all these people are doing this and you know that they don't have to and it's a waste of time? You know, for all that work, got the moment of sight. Like she was in her stride and then that sort of slowed her down a little bit, the thought of all these people doing all this work. And you can't really judge her eyes and, you know, a lot of her body language here because she's outdoors and she's looking around, and, you know, you could say it looks shifty that she's not maintaining eye contact with the interviewer or what have you, but you can't really, you know, there's lots of distractions, but it's the words and the things she's saying that I'm finding difficult.
We have to have some reward for it, and I hope today's the day.
We have to have some reward for it. Financial, you mean? Like a reward? Like a reward, you have to, like... I love this when people, like, Emma's easy. That's what they say around the village anyway. I know, Emma's easy though. Emma's easy. Like, she says the things. She doesn't hold it in. She can't. She's too excited and too, like... If you know Emma, right, I'm just going to say these things and maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Today's red flag, Emma. You know, okay. Like, bear in mind, pinch of salt, you know, time out. I might be just entertainment. But Emma... I bet she's the sort of person that can't keep a secret. I bet she's the sort of person that finds a secret exciting. I bet she's the sort of person that maybe tells people things she's not supposed to. Maybe she's a sort of go-between for information. I want to say gossipy, but not in a horrible way. I think Emma is verbal. You know, I think she talks a lot. Excitable. Now, these are not necessarily bad things. No, they're just like traits. But when you team them up with having been connected to a murder, they become like real, like, uh-oh, you know, like she's not, how do I say this? Like, if I was employing her in my hairdressing salon, I think this is probably a good person. She'll talk to people, she'll be, verbal, she'll communicate, she's very communicative. But if I was like involved in putting her in like in charge of an investigation, I think this is a bit of a worry because she's going to blab the information. Like there's things I'm not not happy with. And she just said about the reward, the financial side. What proof is there of Nikki logging into her phone? It could be someone else, yeah. I really don't like any of the phone record evidence as just like... The thing that I'm struggling with the most after letting it all settle is that she's left the house and she's gone on the dog walk and Nicola is on the dog walk. And that this guy, let's just quickly have this now while you're saying about it in chat. This guy, I think he's brilliant, this guy. I like him. I've seen him in other stuff. I think he's a really good chuffer. I'd love to have him on the show. But check this out, what he's saying here.
Are the police oversharing?
Sorry, go on.
So my name's Mark Williams-Thomas. I'm a former police detective.
Mark Williams-Thomas, that's it. I think he's really good.
And I'm now an investigator, and I work across lots of cases reviewing murder investigations, disappearances.
What happened to Nicola? What is the most likely scenario?
Well, there are three hypotheses, not just one, there are three, and that is that Nicola came here and that she ended up in the water, which is a...
So one hypothesis is that she went on the dog walk and she ended up in the water.
Of course, would be the police's main hypothesis, but there are two others, that she left voluntarily on her...
That she came to the dog walk and left voluntarily.
...her own, for whatever reason, things in her life. And the third one, of course, is the most sinister, that there was a third-party involvement.
Third-party involvement, but assuming you mean on the dog walk. Now, what about this possibility? She never went on the dog walk. Why aren't we investigating that? She was murdered at home. Like, why aren't we investigating that? Like, people went out on the dog walk and left a phone and, like, spoke to a couple of people to look like Nikki, but only from a distance, and they had the Teams call open on the phone at the same time. And, like, all the evidence is being recorded here, aren't they? All look, make sure someone sees me. Oh, hi, Jeanette. I'm just on my Teams call. I'm Nikki. Okay, bye. How do we know that not all the witnesses are so reliable that they're definitely certain it's guaranteed 100% Nikki? But yet in other cases, witnesses can be unreliable and might get things wrong and are proven to have done so. That you yourself, if you were walking your dog and you know one of your neighbours, I know... I'm thinking of a particular neighbour I can think of that I know him fairly well because I see him on the dog walk and say hello to him. But if he suddenly was replaced by somebody who looked quite like him tomorrow and I walked on the other side of the road, I wouldn't be able to tell you from Adam really if it, he's got his scarf on, his hood up, and he's got his own dog. I recognise the dog and I say hello to the dog, and was that really that guy? Could have been someone else. I mean, I didn't take his fingerprints. I'm just a guy on the other side of the road. I might be wrong. So, I don't know, I don't know. We're going on the idea that because her phone went down there, and because the dog went down there, and because there's some CCTV of someone who looks a bit like her in some areas, but not all the areas because of the CCTV blind spots. And the other fact is that we're going on is the fact that she's not there. That's a big red, why are we saying she's down there? Because she's not there, we can't find her. Well, why is she down there then? She might not be down there if you can't find her. Do you know what I mean? There's so many things to me that says, open up your mind and let's see if we can't find the actual resolution to this. But yeah, let's crack on with this.
That torch, whatever you want to call, of hope.
Carrying the torch, as you might do for a relationship that you want to be in.
We have no information, and that's why it's so important for you guys to do what you're doing. The police have done tremendous efforts. The community have come together. For all that work, we have to have some reward for it.
We have to have some reward for it. I love it. I paused it at work and I said there's something about work that made her sigh and slowed her down here. And I love it when they then produce what I didn't know what she was going to say. And she's like, this is actually an unseen review. So then she said about the money, the reward. So work, money. Now, I'm not going to be rude about the North, but people have been... They're a good honest day's work for a good honest day's pay. Do you know what I mean? There's some graft and reward. Do you know what I mean? It's there's some work ethic up north. And I think if you've been going through a lot of things yourself, maybe it's just that you're going through all this stuff trying to find Nikki and you believe you deserve money. It might not be so sinister that you've done her in and you want the money. It might just be because you're out there holding the signs, because you're out there handing out the flyers, you actually believe that you have done enough work to deserve some money, and that's why he set up the GoFundMe, because fuck you, public, I'm doing this, I'm out there. You're not. Well, they are, but do you know what I mean? It might be that. But the idea is financial here in Nikki's mind. Like, that's what she's settled on there.
And I hope today's the day for Paul, for the mum and dad, for the sister, and for those girls.
There were two people.
There's a little half smile there. There was a smile. Duper's delight. You got through all the serious bit. You got through all the serious bit of telling the lie. Well, not the lie. It's not so much a lie, is it? But you just don't say the thing you're not supposed to. You got through that. Now he's doing his question. So relax. Things are okay again. I can smile. Got through that. Not very good body language sign. It might not be exactly what I'm saying, of course. You know, take it with a pinch of salt, disclaimer and all that. But to me, that just looks like Duper's delight, yeah.
There were two people who the police specifically wanted to speak to. They have traced those two.
And now when he's saying there are two people the police want to speak to, she went serious again. Because in her mind, like, at any moment you could say to her, do you remember we watched, when we did that episode, Thus, Criminals Who Publicly Appeal for Their Victims, there was that American kid and he was on the news. He had big fuzzy hair and he was on the news, and they said to him, you know that they found a body in the car park? And he was like, oh my God, have they? Things suddenly changed for him. He was actually, you know, guilty, and they told him something live that changed his mind. When she's heard the police are looking at two people about this, and she's thinking, I'm in one of these two people, she's naturally going to get very tense, isn't she? Until she realises, or it's confirmed, that that's not exactly what he means. But for a minute there in your mind, you're going to be thinking, shit, have they got me? Have I been busted here? What the chuff?
The two people who the police...
There's like a drawing of breath and a stealing of the shoulders, pursing of the lips.
Specifically wanted to speak to. They have traced those two people. It hasn't moved the investigation on, or so it seems. But someone might have that little bit of information, no matter how small.
Someone might. This is troubling. A big breath in, and a... Look at that. What's that expression? Team. That's right, Sanderfloor. That was Stephen McDaniel, killer of Lauren Giddings. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that was who it was. That was it. What's this? What's this expression? What's that? Is that like shock or surprise? It's when people are surprised at their own thoughts, at their own, like shocked at what they might or might not be about to reveal, or like horrified in some way. All right, Milo, you chuffer. My little dog's chuffing.
People, it hasn't moved the investigation on, or so it seems. But someone might have that little bit of information.
Someone might have that. Someone might have that. Did you say someone might have Nikki? Someone might have found her. Shock, horror, panic. But no, it's not. It's that someone might. Okay, so we'll put that emotion right back inside. We'll force that down. We'll swallow it down. We'll purse our lips. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to show anything here. Look, be careful now. This is what's going on very quickly in her brain. Like, not like literally. She's not saying to herself, be careful now. But, you know, be careful now. You, brain, stop. You are showing emotions that are the natural emotions of someone who's worried about themselves and the situation as I've described. So let's just put them back. Let's not, her, and let's go back to our delivery, which is going to be serious, and get the face back on. But there is that micro expression of panic, followed by like literal compression, like compression of the lips, compression of the face. Red flags, Nikki. Red flags, Nikki.
A bit of information, no matter how small, that could help.
And that's this is why we're out here today in force.
And she tried to cut him off with absolutely, and she did have a bit of a dry mouth when she said, and dry mouth is, you know, hard because obviously you're not giving her a bottle of water to drink while she's talking, are you? So she might have a dry mouth, but the anxiety in her forces her to start talking before this guy's finished his question. This is like if you're talking to someone in conversation, they try and talk over you. It's annoying, and sometimes it happens. And if you're my brother and if you're my sister and I'm her brother, which I am, then what tends to happen is she goes, "Stop it! You're talking over me," and I have to shut up. But like, you know, in normal conversation, sometimes it happens. But when you're doing an interview on the news, you tend to shut the fuck up and let them talk until they've done their question, and then you do your talking. It's not as common to interrupt them, but something about this line of questioning that someone might have something. Someone might have something. I'm thinking, you know, my red flag hat is saying that Nikki is not far, and that whilst they've done a good job of either hiding her or disposing of her, it's not, you know, it's either temporary or it can be discovered in some way. That it's like a very good job they've done of it, and it's a very, like, I'm still thinking high up pinnacle. We talked about pillars in the last one as well, but she's worried about it. Like, there's a lot of anxiety on that. These are just red flags, you know, just red flags. So if that were the case, then why you wouldn't be worried if it, like, and this is going to sound awful, but let's say you put them through like some sort of industrial furnace or mincer, and there's just absolutely no trace, and you've swept it all away, and you know there's no trace. You know, you've turned it to ash, and you've like blown the ash off into the sky, and you're happy with that. Then you don't get worried, do you? You just think, like you're more confident and cocky. You have a bit more of an air of confidence about you. But when you're worried, and it might be that she's actually worried about Nikki, so, you know, pinch of salt here. Bear in mind, I'm for entertainment and in spirit guide purposes, I'm giving it this way. But yeah, red flag is that she seems really worried about the idea that Nikki might be found.
How small might that could help?
And this is why we're out here today in force. You've got a big blowy waving man. You've got the band.
You've got a big blowy waving man. I know this could be nothing, you know, I'm trying to red flag as much as possible. Blowy waving man. I find that really weird. She's looking at something down the road. I assume it's some kind of again, like, who's spending this money on this campaign? I hope that someone's volunteered that for free, the blowy waving man. Because whatever a blowy waving man is, I imagine it doesn't come cheap from the printing shop. And we've got a big blowy waving man. I mean, there's only one thing I can think of about blowy man. Blowy, like blowy. There's only one thing I can think of there. Is that what she's thinking of too? I'm not going to go there.
And this is why we're out here today in force. You've got a big blowy waving man. You've got the banners. You've got pictures of Nikki. Someone might go, oh yes, cha-ching, and it's just that light bulb.
Cha-ching. Really? Someone might go cha-ching, and then you're doing this with your fingers? Which is, like, to me, financial, like, money. In this context, does this cluster? Cha-ching. Hand over, like, you do this with money, don't you? Oh, you know, you rub your thumb and finger together, there's the money. Oh, I'll give you the money. Like, she's rubbing her thumb and finger, cha-ching, ka-ching. Cha-ching. So someone's getting paid already. Bear in mind, the printers, whoever's provided this, unless they provide it for free, in which case I'm totally wrong, and she's just cha-ching for the money that she thinks is coming. But Nikki's all about Emma here is all about the money. Emma's all about the money.
And this is why we're out here today in force. You've got a big blowy waving man. You've got the banners. You've got pictures of Nikki. Someone might go, oh yes, cha-ching, and it's just that light bulb moment that anything that you think so small, just come forward and dial 101, obviously you're citing 999.
Light bulb moment as well mentioned, like the idea of an idea. Oh, switch on the light bulb moment, you know, ding, I've had an idea. Also something you might be subconsciously thinking about if you've been doing your business in the dark with a torch. So there's another one that's like, we're starting to put together bits and pieces now that, like, when I put the problem with these red flaggers, right, I hope, right, check this out. In my secret last night I was thinking I could start calling these I could say I'm red flagging Emma and I'm red flagging Paul, and then, like, you know, the whole video is red flags, yeah, and I'm red flagging them, and then, like, maybe it could start off as a trend, and then other people might make, like, red flagging videos, and then I was thinking I hope no one red flags me. So I am aware of, like, you know, pinch of salt and all that, but the more red flags we're able to put in, if even being really harsh, the more we're able to put in, and the redder this thing gets, the worse it gets. And, like, this is actually like a collection of them now. She said ka-ching, she said reward, she said, like, there's loads of them. So this is really dodgy.
We have to, in this day and age, how could someone just disappear? It makes no sense, and that's probably why it's captured the nation.
That's why it's captured the nation. It makes no sense that she's disappeared. That's a bit of a strange one as well, because if the idea is that you're going to want to make as much money as possible, it's not just good that Nikki's gone missing, it's also good that she's gone missing in this way, the way it can capture the nation, isn't it? Like, again, Madeleine McCann just rings out. Oh God, man, I'm going to say something savage as well now. Like, those kids, man, like, they're so lucky it's not them. Do you know what I mean? I'm so, like, in one way, I'm so, like, we're all so lucky the kids are not, it's not them. Like, I hope Paul's not got a sequel in him. I hope he doesn't, you know, I hope he gets to buy his house out of this and that he doesn't want a swimming pool as well, because as those kids grow up, you know, they you know, we want to go on holiday to Disneyland, but, you know, we're going to have to lose one of the kids while we're there to pay for it. I don't like it, you know, I don't like it. I don't like it. What's being said in chat here? Allegedly, his first cousin's wife died mysteriously in 2001. I can't go too interesting things in chat, but I can't go too far down those like rabbit holes without factual information too much, I guess. Like, what's good about these videos with what they're saying is they're actually saying it. Like, she just said ka-ching, she just said reward. I didn't. She said it. So, but interesting stuff in chat.
Well, Emma, thank you so much for talking to us. I know it's such a difficult time for you. I think you're incredibly brave to stand in front of the camera and put that appeal.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get to see her doing it, but he said, I think you're incredibly brave, and she agrees. Yeah.
So that is the appeal. Anyone who has any information about Nicola's whereabouts, no matter how trivial it might seem.
She didn't say that. He said that at the end. If you've got any information about Nicola, no matter how trivial. She tried to say it, but she said all sorts of other words, including ka-ching. So bye-bye. Next one. Right, next. Emma Redcoat. This is from Sky News. This is only a day after. Again, this is 12 days ago. We're on day 21 now. So work that out with your clever maths.
Your thoughts, I'm interested in your thoughts after that update from police. Yeah.
It looks like a much more mild day here. And she's picked out the red pleated gilet jacket. She's gone for a more bronze on this part of her face. You know, this part of the face that I'm saying with the CCTV that I'm not happy with. Like, am I saying that Emma was there, that Nikki fucking clarted her in the face, like smashed her in the, you know, what are you doing around my house? Like banging her in the face, and then like only got 2 good shots in before Paul's run down the stairs and grabbed hold of her. Am I saying that? And if that's the case, am I saying that you would have bronzed, you'd have a lot of foundation, and then you'd have, like, you know, a bit of, I don't know, or is that just your normal makeup look and I'm just, you know, second guessing that? I don't know. But anyway, she's gone for the heavy, she's critiqued a lot for this heavy eye makeup. The one thing at least is if it's consistent, that's how you do your makeup. And if that's how she does her makeup, that's how she does her makeup. Like, you have routines, and it might not seem the most, like, here's me doing my video about red flagging them. So who can talk about, you know, what's crass and what's appropriate? But some people have different style. So it might seem inappropriate, but some people have different style. Another aspect of it is I wonder what she looks like without it. And I wonder how passable for Nikki she is to the untrained eye with a different makeup look. And I wonder whether people in the village recognise her by her trademark black eyeliner, you know, thick kohl pencil. And, you know, if you would recognise people if they had, I don't know about this because I'm not that educated on makeup, am I? But if you knew someone that looked that way and then they suddenly changed their look, would you instantly recognise them, or would it take a second take? And I don't begrudge her wearing her. Like, if you wear that sort of makeup, you're on the telly, you want to look your best. Like, for me, I don't wear a lot of makeup, but I would do my hair. Do you know what I mean? I'd like wash, I'd dry it, I'd like maybe have a shave, or at least smarten, you know, like look at my eyebrows in the mirror, and that's probably about it. Look at them and think, oh, well, they are what they are. And then like, that's about it. But do you know what I mean? If you're going to be on the telly, you're going to be facing this campaign, the front of this campaign, it might be acceptable to make these choices. It might seem a little bit like you're slightly out of context with the makeup choice, but that might be who you are, so that's sort of okay. You'd wear makeup if you're on TV. Absolutely, you'd wear makeup if you're on TV, yeah. But it's whether you'd wear like evening makeup or like heavy eyeliner and stick-on lashes, which is going to come later, isn't it? We've got that with this one. She's wearing quite heavy stuck-on lashes. I've just got a lower resolution version on the internet there that we can watch. We don't need the HD to see the lashes, but she has. She's got quite heavy stick-on lashes for that one, which is a choice. You know, it's a choice. Thought his bruise may have been an elbow blow, but it seemed to scratch within the beard. Yeah.
I'm interested in your thoughts after that update from police yesterday. When you heard what the police had to say, what went through your mind?
Hey Angela, am I clickbait or are they clickbait? So I've not been keeping up. I'll just quickly. I can see that you're not like. One of the issues that you might have, Angela, is that today my episode is that I'm red flagging Nikki. So I'm just looking for red flags. It doesn't mean that I don't have other thoughts. It means that I'm just giving this. Like, it's like I've put on a hat and the hat says Nikki is guilty, and I have to, argue that case. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, like it might seem a bit harsh, and if you're not down with this vibe, then you might get a bit agitated by it, but please, take it all with a pinch of salt. Yeah. And I am cheeky. If you're talking to me in chat there like that, then that's fine. That's fine. I am cheeky. I'm sorry if I've irked you in that way, but they're just ideas. I'm just making some content on the internet, thinking about things and reading into this from a particular point of view.
Let's just take you back to yesterday. So yesterday was a 7-day milestone. It was a roller coaster in itself. You wake up, still no news. Okay, we'd already planned the 7 days, a big...
There's a lot in that. She said milestone, which is like indicative of groundworks. And then she said roller coaster, which is excitement, passion, joy.
Media publicity, we were out there with the banners. So then to hear just in the afternoon that had driven awareness.
She's speaking very quickly and not taking many breaths. I believe this is something that's been, again, we talked about in the last one, scripted. And like once you read the elements of your script and you've got them in your head and you want to get to make sure you've said all the things, like that's a very cognitive process, and there's not so much body language that's going to spill out from other things, because that's what's going on in your mind, is imagining the script, trying to get the words right, saying these words directly off the script. So you're going to seem like you're reading off a script from your mind, but other stuff isn't going to bubble up as much. But maybe those choices of words, milestone and roller coaster, stood out to me.
Take you back to yesterday. So yesterday was a 7-day milestone. It was a roller coaster in itself. You wake up, still no news. Okay, we'd already planned the 7 days, a big media publicity. We were out there.
We'd planned the 7 days. A big media publicity, so, but we'd planned the 7 days. We'd planned it. She's speaking very fast as well, which is anxiety.
The banners. So then to hear just in the afternoon that had driven awareness, influx of calls, that hope was ignited. I couldn't tell you the feeling like something's got to come of all this information. We then get...
The hope was ignited. I can't tell you. Again, I can't tell you. It's a little just drop in the conversation. The hope was ignited, I can't tell you. What she means is, I can't tell you how happy I was. That's like a phrase people use, but what she said was, I can't tell you. Again, I worry about things you can't tell me. And the hope was ignited. What, when something's on fire, burning, like that torch you mentioned earlier. So now we've got actual flames. In the last interview, she said a torch, and I said it might be at night. You're using a torch, holding a torch for someone is a burning torch that you hold. In theory, it's an allegory for having love for someone and wanting them passionately and all that. And now she's actually talking about igniting the hope. So are we talking about some sort of fire? Are we?
The news bulletin, and it comes up with this hypothesis, then that sinking feeling again. And I just wanted to...
A sinking feeling again. It's strange. I'll tell you what's strange is a lot of the time with Paul, I was getting the feeling that he was talking about something that had been buried, hidden, pushed down. I was thinking of holes. He mentioned the word hole. He said it's left a big, ginormous hole, like holes burying something underground, deep. And then with pillar, I thought, if Paul has been putting in a concrete fence around something, I would dig up every fence post. But here we've also got this language of up in the air. We had pinnacle. Paul used pillar. And
We then get the news bulletin and it comes up with this hypothesis, then that sinking feeling again.
Sinking feeling again. Sinking's that, like, she's a collection of different ones there. It's a bit weird. Like, you had ignite, and then you had a sinking feeling, sinking down, obviously, sinking into water. Igniting could be car starting, good point. Ignition. She's talking about this roller coaster of emotions. You know, I'm trying to red flag her. At the same time, I'm open to the idea that this is what you more naturally you would feel roller coaster. A roller coaster is a funny word for it, but you would feel these like hopes and these despairs, these peaks and troughs throughout this. I suppose these undulations between let's get out and find her and oh my god, I think she's dead. But it would be much easier to maintain hope if you didn't know she. Like, if you knew she was dead, then you're going to have these like, let's get out there and like, you're going to have these facade moments where you're showing the world what you think they should be shown, and then you're going to have these moments of, oh my god, it's all hitting me, the reality of what's actually happening, and this is what's really happening, and I'm having to process the reality of what's really happening, and I'm having to do it off camera, so to speak, you know, like I have to be on, and then behind the, I have to, oh fucking hell, and it's double because I'm having to be on. It's not just I can just grieve, you know, it's like double because I have to be on. Can we have subtitles? I think you should be able to. I don't know what I have to do to set that up. If you watch the streams later on, the subtitles are added by YouTube, and like my settings, when I set it up, I say yes, please do subtitles, YouTube. So it should do them. I hope in the future, if I don't have it on today's episode, I'll look into it and I'll make sure that we sort out how subtitles work. Yeah. If you look at CCTV, there's a ring on her right finger. Emma was wearing rings in the last interview, which I closed now, but she brought her hand up. She was wearing a collection of rings, yeah. The CCTV. Again, it's going to be hard to see, isn't it? On her right finger. So I'm looking for her right hand. This one. I can't, it doesn't look like there is from where I can see there, but I mean, it's a tiny image that I'm looking at, so yeah.
And it comes up with this hypothesis, then that sinking feeling again. And I just wanted to...
The sinking feeling is when they come up with a hypothesis, which is kind of weird, isn't it?
To quote, so what we're saying is, what struck a chord, she said the search continues to no avail, and then obviously a hypothesis is unlimited information. And when we're talking about a life, we can't base it on a hypothesis. Surely we need this factual evidence. And
so what she's actually saying there is bargaining. When we're talking about a life, we can't just talk about a hypothesis. She was reading a quote from the police. She's like criticising the police and what they're doing. But also, isn't she talking to the public here on the news and saying, like, you can't make hypotheses with no information? I.e., you can't say it's me, you've got no evidence.
Like you've just both said, that's what the family and us are all holding on to, that we're actually no further on than, sadly, last Friday. We still have no holding on to that. And like you've just both said, that's what the family and us are all holding on to, that
the family and us are all holding on to. Any language that shows sign of a physical struggle, holding on to, I'm going to pick that up and red flag it.
We're actually no further on than, sadly, last Friday. We still have no evidence, and that's why we're out again in force.
I'm finding it a little bit harder to, like, she's just a much smaller picture here, like, in the side. My face is even in the way, isn't it? Let me just move my face. I can do this. I'm a streamer. I know what I'm doing. Camera, edit, transform, flip horizontal. There you go. Horizontally flipped. You got flipped. I got flipped. And then I'm just going to drag this over here. That's over there now. Just like Nicola. Just drag it over there. Whoops. Yeah, so she's doing this shock expression again. Micro expression, that surprise look.
Have no evidence.
Have no evidence.
And that's why we're out again.
And that's why we're out again. She's doing that again. And it's like a believe me look, but also a panic look.
And in force.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
And she shuts herself up in force.
No evidence. And that's why we're out again in force.
In force. In force again. Like, you don't have a force, you're just some woman. You don't have a force. That's why the police are out again. The police force. And like, there's a sadness and a sort of defeated look at the end here. Like, in a way, she wishes it was over and that it was just like the police had given up on it. But we're out again. Someone said something again, and it's good because we want to find Nicola. But I don't really want the police out all over the place again. Like she's thinking, when can this be over? In a way, isn't she? Like, because at the end of it, she just seemed defeated.
Sadly, last Friday we still have no evidence, and that's why we're out again in force.
We're out again in force.
Yeah, I can sense frustration in your voice. Do you feel frustrated?
But this was frustration at the police. So let me just let this roll a little bit because I've gone to subtext. I've gone to between the lines here. Let me listen to the overt case as well.
Feeling again, and I just wanted to quote. So what we're saying is, what struck a chord. She said the search continues to no avail, and then obviously a hypothesis is on limited information. And when we're talking about a life, we can't base it on a hypothesis. Surely we need this factual evidence. And like you've just both said, that's what the family and us are all holding on to, that we're actually no further on than, sadly, last Friday. We still have no evidence. And that's why we're out again in force.
Yeah.
Maybe she's saying we're out again in force, you know, us versus the police. We're out again in force trying to say, get your fingers out, do something. That's the message she's trying to put across, isn't it? That we are pushing the police and that the police are not finding enough factual evidence, and we were hoping that they were going to, like... she insists on evidence, doesn't she? I tell you what, I'm wondering if you put the phone on the bench, if you let the dog out in the park and did the decoy thing, I wonder if there's another piece of evidence that they've planted that leads a different way, and she was hoping that would be found, and it hasn't, and so she's even so superior over the police because they haven't even found the evidence that she planted, that she knows is there. Maybe that, you know, maybe that. Emma's on TV a lot, isn't she? Yeah. You want someone to do this though, as well. Like, I'm being red flagging. You know, I'm saying that she's out there, ego front and center, but also I'm being wary of the idea that someone has to do this. And it doesn't really want to be the direct family because, you know, they have to look after the kids and they've got, like, you know, feelings and emotions all tied up that's going to make them break down on camera, which might be okay. You know, if it was me, you wouldn't see me talking like this. You'd be walking with me because I'd be up and down the fucking river all day screaming my head off. Like, Nikki! Like, my voice would have gone. Like, I wouldn't be able to do the interviews, I'll tell you that.
I can sense frustration in your voice. Do you feel frustrated?
It's not frustrated, but you don't base life on a hypothesis, do you? You absolutely can have hypotheses, but then you need something to back that hypothesis up to become...
You don't base life on a hypothesis? What does she mean? You don't base life on a hypothesis? She's trying to say that life is too valuable for you to say, well, it's just a hypothesis, we'll just have to leave it. Like, this is someone's life, you've got to do something about it. Like, there's some sort of value to life here, maybe. You don't base life on a hypothesis. It's strange language that doesn't make sense to me.
It's not frustrated, but you don't base life on a hypothesis, do you? You absolutely can have hypotheses, but then you need something to back that hypothesis up to become factual.
Do you think it might...
So I suppose as well, it feels like an appeal on the media to say, shut your mouth if you don't know what's going on, in a way. I'm red flagging it. I feel a bit guilty, I'll be honest. You know, sometimes I've been real harsh on the red flags and I feel like, great, this is a flag I can plant. But this one feels a little bit of a guilty pleasure here, a little bit guilty that maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but yeah.
You need something to back that hypothesis up to become factual.
To back it up. This is a flag I'm happy to plant. When do you need to back something up? When do you need backup? Do you need backup? Are you going to back up your mates? What's that? That's a fight. That's a fight. You need backup. That implies, more than one person involved in something. Backup.
But then you need something to back that hypothesis up to become factual.
So you need something to back the hypothesis up to become factual. And that's distancing language from ideas like you need to find some facts, you need to find some evidence, you need to find, you need to find something to back that hypothesis up to become factual. It's like talking around the subject.
Do you think it might almost have been better not to have mentioned that?
Got that pursed lips again, the tight mouth. Is that anger, frustration, or is it something she doesn't want to say?
To have just said, we don't have any new information, but we are...
And this nod along, yeah, that. So what I read from that, it's only a little thing, but she had something else in mind, and then she's going with what he's saying instead.
Almost have been better not to have mentioned that. To have just said, we don't have any new information, but we are still appealing for help. We are still appealing for, like they did, dash cam footage and the like, but actually not necessarily saying that is now their theory.
100%, and I think we just said we talked to the family. They obviously discussed that with the family. We didn't believe it was going to go into a live news bulletin when it is this hypothesis. So
this is where she's talking about the police think she's gone in the river, and she's angry that the police are just focusing on the river. Then we didn't think it going to a live news bulletin when it was just this hypothesis. Is there something about lack of control here? Is there something about the idea that she didn't, like the police did a live news bulletin, they didn't come through me, and I'm head of the search team, and Nicola's big friend, and now the police are just going on the news without telling me what's going on. I'm out of control. I'm not got my finger on the pulse anymore. Angry at the police. Angry at them for having the hypothesis that she's in the river. This is someone's life. You haven't got any evidence she's gone in the river. You're angry at them.
That is now their theory.
100%, and I think we just said we talked to the family. They obviously discussed that with the family. We didn't believe it was going to go into a live news bulletin when it is this hypothesis. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're great friends with Nikki and Paul. What's Paul saying this morning? Did you have a chance to speak to him after the conference yesterday?
Yeah, as soon as we heard, we said, "What's the message?" And he was just like, keep going until we find something factual.
I don't like this at all. So as soon as we heard the message, he was like, keep going. So the conversation is something along the lines of, Paul, should I keep going with what I'm doing? I don't know if I should keep going. Like, you don't ring someone up and say, hi, this is Paul. Could you keep doing what you're doing, please? Keep going. And she's spoken to him, Paul, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I don't know if I want to keep... Should I keep doing this? Is this the plan still? Paul's like, yeah, keep going. Keep doing it. Keep... Whatever, keep that line. Maintain. Keep doing it. ACW, you can't hear me. I've been broadcasting for a while, and I think everyone else can, so I'm pretty confident that I can be heard. So it's... you might have it on mute at your end. But you can't hear me saying this, so that's an issue. Oh, someone's got you in chat there. Okay. I couldn't work that out myself. I'm a smart chuffer, really, aren't I? But I'm not that smart, obviously. not that smart. Not that clever. You're not that clever. You ended up in the bin. Yeah. This is at 2:17. I thought this was the one where at the very start he said something really bad.
I'm joined by a good friend of Nicola's, Emma White. Good to see you again, Emma. We keep calling her Nicola. You knew her as Nikki, of course.
Yeah.
Do
you know that? At that, he said you knew her as Nikki. I missed that at the start. I just went back for it there because I caught in my brain that it was there. You knew her as Nikki. He talks about her in the past tense, and Emma simply agrees with it and doesn't say know her as Nikki. She could still be... She's still alive. We're looking for her.
Friend of Nicola's, Emma White. Good to see you again, Emma. We keep calling her Nicola. You knew her as Nikki, of course.
Yeah.
Your thoughts. I'm interested in your thoughts after that update from police.
Yeah, so it's all about this update from the police, this one, isn't it? This is like a week ago, so she's crossed at the idea that she might have been in the river and the police didn't tell her and stuff like that.
We find something factual.
And you were here...
And I just said that Paul said to keep going.
Conference yesterday.
Yeah, as soon as we heard, we said, what's the message? And he was just like, keep going until we find something factual.
And you were here chatting to me yesterday, and you were so buoyed up and so hopeful because the police had more calls, hadn't they? They had more information through. Did you get any sense of what that information might have been?
So that's comparing it to that last interview we just looked at, where she was interested in the money.
No, all I know, it was a significant influx of calls that they had to bring.
Significant influx of calls. Significant, of course, if I were to offer you an amount of money, I could offer you a small amount of money, or I could offer you a significant amount of money. Significant is something that, like significant in terms of calls, doesn't have to be the amount of calls. We had a significant call. Really important information, really significant information. But we had a significant amount of calls. To her, it's significant the amount. Again, we're talking about finance, we're talking about valuing things in terms of high numbers. And the fact that you got a large amount of numbers, the significance was the amount of calls. So she was buoyed yesterday by the amount of calls they'd had. And that could be good because lots of sightings mean, you know, we're going to find Nikki. But remember, with the Madeleine McCann case, and if you want to check out the rest of my content on my channel, please do, you chuffer, at some point, have a look down here. Madeleine McCann on the podcast that we did, but also I've done a whole playlist of it, Madeleine McCann. I've done a whole full playlist where we looked at the book written by the police detective. I looked at their interviews and embedded confessions. I did body language analysis of them, and then we finished it with the podcast with the forensic psychologist. So a bit of a Madeleine McCann playlist there for you if you want to check that out. But with that, the amount of calls and the amount of media attention, like they had people saying they saw her in Brazil, they saw her in Africa, they saw her, you know, they saw her so far all over and wide that all they could do in the police department at one point, in the small Portuguese police department at the start, they were overwhelmed, and they had to set up another room, another like static caravan thing with people just answering calls. No, okay, thanks, we'll check into that, thanks. Then they have to go and follow all that up. Like, it drains resources and it drains time. So the idea that they'd had loads of them, and that was what was significant to her, that's good in one way, because you might think, great, lots of leads, but negative in another, because you might be thinking, great, smokescreen.
Another 101 team in to answer the calls. So when you hear that news coming from the police, you think, oh my, there has to be a glimmer of,
what do you think? Sorry?
An influx of calls that they had to bring another 101 team in to answer the calls.
They had to bring another, okay, so it was significant, they had to bring another team in to answer the calls. So you've got so many calls. It's doing exactly what I said, isn't it? I love it when I say something and then they confirm it. So I said the thing that if you were guilty, you'd be glad because it was clogging up the investigation. She's mentioned that there were so many, we had to have another room full of, we had to employ, we overran the call centre. Brilliant, you know, well done. And what did you feel about that?
Influx of calls that they had to bring another 101 team in to answer the calls. So when you hear that news coming from the police, you think, oh my, there has to be.
You think what? You think, oh my. She changes it to there has to be. But she starts with, oh my, and looks up. Oh my God. Oh my God. And looks up. And then she changes that to there has to be a lead. So it's shock, surprise, but also I think this is that ka-ching moment again. Oh my God, we're famous. We've done it. We've cracked it. Ka-ching, we've got the numbers. I don't like her at all for that. That, oh my God, that surprise and shock. It's almost, you know, these days they say about young people, oh, the Instagram generation, the TikTokers, all they want to do is go viral and all this business. You know, everything's on the phone, and, you know, they forget that generations before, like before the internet, you had like models and supermodels, and then before that you had like Christine Keeler, and like before, you know, they forget that it's like it's people's vision of themselves in public life and their own popularity. It's always been a thing, like their own ego. So this is a bit of one of them, you know, something that tickles her fancy, something that she enjoys out of this, something that gives her, oh my God, like, you know, feelings, is big numbers on the call centre.
Oh my,
oh my. And then stop that, and let's say what we need to say instead, which is there has to be a lead or something. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Has to be a glimmer of, there has to be something coming from.
Sorry, there has to be a glimmer of, and she stops that, and she changes it to there has to be something. So a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of light, holding a torch. Again, we've got these symbologies of cracks of light, small amounts of light. Is that up in a loft? Is that up in an attic? Small amounts of light holding it. You could hold a torch in an attic, couldn't you? You could hold a torch in an attic. who's passing around the torches and pitchforks. Good point, Urban Wildlife. You know, I am if anything, yeah, I am on a total witch hunt right now, red flagging her. I'm doing the job of red flagging her, looking at it from the most negative angle. So, you know, take it all with a pinch of salt, but it is what it is.
News coming from the police, you think, oh my, there has to be a glimmer of, there has to be something coming from that today, just to give a line of inquiry to go on. So when the news...
There has to be something coming from that today, just to give us... I don't know what she stopped saying there, so I can't judge her on what she didn't say, but there was something else that she wanted to say that she didn't say. It was all very fast and very anxious and...
of inquiry to go on. So...
But there has to be a line of inquiry to go on, meaning there isn't necessarily, up to that point, it doesn't mean that you call up, someone says something like, oh, I saw Emma in the woods, and then it's a line of inquiry. That's not how it works. But she's hoping that she can generate a line of inquiry. Of course, you would want to, if you were looking for someone that was missing, you would want to, but it might also be that you would want to busy up the police with lines of inquiry, isn't it? So if you were guilty, so I don't know.
To give a line of inquiry to go on. So when the news bulletin came, I thought, oh, we might have found something that we don't know.
That again, when the news bulletin came, I think they might have found something I don't know, and she pauses, draws breath, purses her lips. It's not good if they find something that you don't know they found, is it?
And we thank everybody that did come forward. What I would say...
We thank everyone that did come forward with a big surprise expression again. Believe me, look.
We need to keep it to factual information. Like, they could have received 100 calls on... I don't know, that's not relevant to the case.
Yeah, it needs to...
We need to keep it on factual information, she's saying. I mean, what does that even mean, factual information? Well, if you think it's factual information, you'll call up, won't you? You're not going to ring up and say, yeah, would you like me to make up a lie about Nicola Bulley? Like, obviously, no, I wouldn't like you to do that. Thanks, bye. Like, we need to keep it to factual information. What other kinds of information are there that you've been thinking about and putting out there? Like, now it's time to keep it to factual information. Maybe that's a concern. That, like, if you're talking... Okay, so I can make this into a red flag here, because I can say, let's say you're talking to Paul on the phone and she's saying, should I make something up? And he's saying, no, keep it to the facts, but just don't say the things that make us sound guilty. Do you know what I mean?
It needs to be a genuine factual information. No, that's a good point. There's been a lot of talk...
It's not a good point. It's an awful point. It needs to be genuine...
a tennis ball, and that Willow loved chasing a tennis ball.
At this point, you would relax. If you're guilty, you would relax, because you were thinking, okay, like, at this point, it's time for talking about a tennis ball. And I've been feeling really under the cosh, and, you know, people are looking at me. But now we're talking about a tennis ball and a dog, and you believe me. So at this point, I would relax.
100 calls on... I don't know, that's not relevant to the case.
Yeah, it needs to be a genuine factual information. No, that's a good point. There's been a lot of talk about a tennis ball, and that Willow loved chasing a tennis ball, and perhaps the ball rolled down this very steep bank where we're standing, ended up in the water, and Emma...
There's a lot of licking of the lips.
Understandably tried to retrieve the ball, simple as that, as you would do on a dog walk.
Not nodding.
What do you think about that theory?
Willow used to love a tennis ball very much, but it used to disturb the walk, so they haven't had a tennis ball since way into last year. Obviously, a tennis ball, she loved the tennis ball, so she should always be by you, pestering.
Like, kind of nervously going through this story about this tennis ball.
You for the ball, that it wasn't a nice walk when the dog's pestering, so the ball was definitely no ball.
I find difficult about this. The ball was no, definitely no ball. Like, she stutters and stammers her way through that, but I think she feels confident at the end because she smiles again. So I think that was an easy one for her, and, like, maybe she's just a bit confused, like, that she's having to talk about this tennis ball all of a sudden, because she's kind of thinking, like, what the fuck? But also, I would say there's almost a sort of... Like, we're talking about lovely, kind people, aren't we, remember? We're talking about lovely, kind people. And Willow really loved this tennis ball. So... because Willow loved the tennis ball so much, she was pestering for it. We've got this same problem at my house, right? Is that if I get the ballie out, my dog will start going nuts. I've got a variety of ballies, and he can't have them in the house because he's barking and he's barking. You put him in the garden with it, and he's banging it against the fence, like footballs I'm talking about, and, you know, other balls. Like, you know, he's running and he's barking. He's got all sorts of squeaky toys. He's got all sorts of chewy toys and stuff, just not the ballies, because it's too much. He gets too excited. It might be that, but isn't it a bit harsh? I always feel harsh myself when I'm like, sorry, you can't play with Bally anymore. I'm going to have to put Bally away. Sorry, you can't play with it anymore. I always feel really harsh. And, like, is there not an element of, like, brutality about what she's describing here? About Willow used to pester me all the time with this ball, like, or pester Nikki and I've told Nikki to stop. Just fuck the ball off then, Nikki. You know, is it a sign that Nikki's soft and you're more tough than her? Or was Nikki the one that suggested to bin the ball off? Because it would seem that Nikki was having the problem with the ball. Willow keeps pestering me with the ball, and you've come in and said, right, just fuck the ball off then, Nikki. Like, it's a completely separate matter, but to me it says Nikki's caring and soft, and you're harsh.
Understandably try to retrieve the ball, simple as that, as you would do on a dog walk. What do you think about that theory?
Willow used to love a tennis ball very much, but it used to disturb the walk, so they haven't had a tennis ball since way into last year. Obviously, a tennis ball, she loved the tennis ball, so she'd always be by you, pestering you for the ball. But it wasn't a nice walk when the dog's pestering, so the ball was definitely no ball.
Okay. The ball was no. No. The ball was no. Not the ball was not. The ball was no. Nowhere around. Oh, you chuffer. The ball was nowhere to be seen. Meaning you couldn't see the ball. Why would you see it? You're not seeing it. You're not on the walk. Are you? The ball was nowhere to be found. The ball was no. The ball was no.
It wasn't a nice walk when the dog's pestering, so the ball was definitely no ball. Definitely
no ball. Change. We'll, at the end of that, we'll just fuck all that off what I was going to say, and we'll say definitely no ball. The ball was no option. In chat there, no option. Yeah, could be that. The ball was no option. I'm not giving that dog a choice. I'm not giving that dog an option. The ball was no option. Yeah, I'll have that. I'll have that.
But it wasn't a nice walk when the dog's pestering, so the ball was definitely no ball.
God, struggler there. Definitely no ball. The ball was no option. Again, very harsh, isn't it? Very sort of regimented. Like the dog likes the ball so much, I decided to remove it from its life. I'll tell you a little Scotty Hottie story. When I was a kid, I used to have a little black dog, like a little, soft toy, like a little plushie, these days they'd call them. Little black dog, and it had a red ribbon around it. I used to suck my thumb. I was only like 6 years old, this wasn't when I was 24. I was a little kid. I used to suck my thumb and I used to have this black dog, it's my little thing. I have kids have things like that. And then when my parents sold one of the houses, I think we were living in a hotel. I think it was during the divorce. We were living in a hotel for a bit, and for a few weeks, until we could find another house. It wasn't the best time of my life. I wasn't the happiest kid at that moment. And during that, my little black dog went missing. Like my sucky thumb, my comforter, just went missing, gone. I remember we searched. This is actually funny because we're talking about Nikki and searching. It's poor Nikki. Rest in peace, Nikki. Let's hope we can find out what happened to you for your children. I searched all the grounds of this hotel because I'd been out there playing. I'd been out and around. I was out there looking in the woods, like as far as my parents would let me. Could go, but he could have got into there, and no, he can't. He's a little toy dog. And I was looking everywhere for this little dog. Never found it. And what had happened is my dad had took it. I didn't know at the time. Now, with hindsight as an adult, obviously my dad had binned it off. He didn't want me sucking my thumb with a little, he wanted me to stop sucking my thumb, and in order to achieve that, he just binned it off, removed it. Hello, Invisible Ray. It's nice that you know each other in chat. I think that was kind of cool. But yeah, that harshness, that strictness, that discipline, you can do it. I believe you can only do discipline if you're not angry, if you're kind inside. If you're disciplining someone because you're kind inside and you think this is an important lesson they need to learn and I have to draw the lines here, otherwise someone could get hurt, that's okay. But if you're drawing the lines because you're just angry and you're fed up with it, then you can't discipline someone. You haven't got self-discipline, you can't teach discipline. Yeah? If you haven't got self-discipline, you can't teach discipline. So the minute you lose your temper, it's over for discipline. It becomes bullying and it becomes anger. Hello, Snips. You find that sad? It's just one of them things. It's just one of those things I have to live with. It's not the worst case of things in the world. I didn't have my house blown up in the Ukraine or lose a family member. I just, you've got a dog called Willow Invisible, right? That's incredible. But yeah, it was harsh anyway. And I think this harshness that she exudes and the small smile that she says at the end about the no ball, like it's almost sadistic. So I'm going to push it one more level, you know, like sadomasochism and sadism, and you know, taking pleasure in the fact that you're being harsh, being hard, being tough, exuding that control over someone else. Exuding, is that the right word? Exerting. You know, those sort of things are attached to that taking of the ball and smiling about it. Are you the sort of person that would pull the wings off an insect just to see them suffer? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's in that area now. Well, I could push it in that area if I'm red flagging it, which I fucking am. So, Paul played a dead man in Casualty. I've not heard that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just going to have to say that's interesting in chat, but I'm not going to be able to find out factually on the internet right now while I'm doing this red flagger. But it is interesting, just interesting stuff.
Okay, well that's really.
She really got an OnlyFans. It's just her stirring a cauldron. Sorry, you got me there.
Really interesting. As a dog owner, I know how annoying it can be.
Big smiles now, like big laughy smiles. Like, do you know what I would do in this situation if someone was making a joke about dog ownership and I was looking for my missing friend? I'd be angry at them, and I'd say, like, even on the news, right, I'd say that's slightly inappropriate. I mean, I talk about inappropriate. Hello, welcome to Scotty Hotty's world. But I'd say that's inappropriate to make a joke, you fucker. I just do that. I would. Like, my friends, I guarantee my friends know exactly how I would say it as well. Like, you know, and just drop it there like a bad fart. Not laughing at your joke. I'm looking for my missing friend.
Having dogs obsessing over balls, so you don't think there would have been a ball?
No.
Okay. And finally, what is your message today to people watching this who will share...
She's still very switched on, isn't she? Like this sort of like... Maybe that's the feeling that I was just saying about, you know, maybe she smiled out of natural courtesy, but inside she's thinking, fuck you and your stupid questions. But she's very switched on. She's almost like laser focused, like, you know, staring this guy down. We're coming to the end of the interview here for her. Like, this is her last chance to fuck up.
Today, to people watching this who will share your anguish, they'll share the family's anguish.
Hello, Lev Kung Fu Shaolin.
And their desperation.
And yeah, she is breathing heavy.
Perhaps things are narrowing down now in terms of getting Nikki back. What's your message?
Again, yesterday they said they haven't explored...
They cut away from that, but what a harsh thing to say to her. Things are narrowing down in terms of getting Nikki back. What, you mean she's dead then?
Nikki back. What's your message?
Again, yesterday they said they haven't explored all the avenues. We've got
That was a repeat of what they said. They haven't explored all the avenues. Agree. But avenues comes up again in conversation. There are some streets and roads around that area that are literally called so-and-so avenue. And if you live in that area, you will know who lives around which way. And mention of avenues is just a thing. It's not a huge red flag. I'd call that an amber flag.
Footage missing.
We again. True that.
From Garstang Road, which is just outside of the river where you come into the gate for the walk. So we're appealing again for anybody that has the dash cam footage, any information on that. Then when we've explored that avenue, then hopefully the police can piece a bit more of the picture together. I know people will be coming out in the force today. We've had message after message and we thank you. I know people will be coming out in their force today. We've had message after message and we thank you. So at the end, this is me believing, because I can't see her, I'm just, you know, but I believe she's got that internal script and she's trying to make sure she's rereading that. Like the final message is what we range a little bit on the interview, but we come back to the script that's in my mind and we're just going to like not fail now at the end and we're going to read the script. And she's just slightly fucked up again when she's repeated those words out of her mind. Together. I know people will be coming out in the force today. We've had messages.
In their force. People will be coming out in their droves. People will be coming out in force. Last time in today's episode that we just did a little bit earlier, she said people will be coming out in drones, which is wrong, isn't it? People don't come out in drones. So is it that TikTokers are using all this technological equipment around the area and she's worried about it? Or is it that she's worried about the police force, again, who might be looking in a different area or might be doing more work than she expected? People will be coming out in their force, in drones. Like, it feels...
We thank you. We've got routes set up for people to do today. We've actually overnight...
We've got routes set up for people to do today. That's handy then. That's good. Don't want them just going off and having a good look round.
I think you've already shared it. We've got this 10-foot illuminated.
And it's the news here that's using the drones. It's the news that's using the drones. So maybe she's preoccupied with this aspect of fame.
Actually, overnight, I think you've already shared it. We've got this 10-foot illuminated box that actually drove from Blackpool to Preston last night. It's going to be driving around. It's going to be in prominently in...
You've got an 8-foot illuminated box that's going to be driving from Blackpool to Preston. Like, what are you doing? Advertising a musical? Like, what's going on? I know that people think that you have to do these things to try and get the message out there and like raise awareness, but really you're on the national news doing interviews and the police are looking. Like, is it not possible that there are other more modern ways than dragging an 8-foot illuminated box from Blackpool to Preston? Who's driving? How many people are driving from Blackpool to Preston? For a number one, how many? They're probably your target market, I guess, but how many of them, while they're driving, are going to have the time and wherewithal to focus on an 8-foot illuminated box as it flies past down the other bypass? It just, what are you on about? What are you on about? Why? Who's done that? What's going on? Maybe it's okay if you've done it for free and someone's lent a hand and said, look, I've got an 8-foot illuminated box that I could lend you. Do you want me to drive it to Blackpool to try and get Nikki's name out there? Okay, yeah, you go ahead and do that, right? But like, if you're just like, you know, if you've got a small amount of money that's come in, or you've got a budget from somewhere to try and find Nikki, I would warrant that an 8-foot illuminated box, was it 8 or 5 foot? An illuminated box of any description is not on your priorities list. They don't even, like, you don't see any TikTokers with illuminated boxes. Maybe I'm saying this now, I'll start a trend. You know, you don't see, like, do you remember when we had the COVID, right? And Boris Johnson wanted to make sure he put his message across. Do you remember that? What they did was they had podiums. Do you remember that? They had podiums with all the flags behind them and all the wood. And they had a TV screen. They had experts. So everything's set. All I have to do is stand on the set and I look good now. Now I look good. Because you're paying for it. You are. You taxpayers. You're paying for those flags and these podiums and for me to look like a very important chuffer. And the other side, Labour, they haven't got the podiums and the flags because they're not in Downing, so they don't have that. So they don't look as important. When they want to get your attention, they're on the telly with the podiums. You've got half the battle won. You're on the telly. Get yourself a podium. Fuck off the 8-foot illuminated box. Just start speaking from a podium like Donald Trump. Nicola, we think she's in the river, okay? Build a wall. We need to build a wall, people. We need to build a wall. Stop these. Okay, I'm not going to do my Donald Trump. But, like, what's going on? Why are you concerned with 8-foot illuminated boxes? It would make me angry. It does make me angry, to be honest. It does. Like, I would have to say, if I was... Could you imagine, right? Okay, this is another Scotty Hottie story that's going to come out now. In my local town, when I was running my business, working really hard to run a business, self-employed, down the local around the road, there's this big empty building, and it's right in a good area. Like, it's right in a nice place, pedestrian area, and like it's a big empty sort of like town hall building. It used to be the town hall or something, but you know, abandoned now. They use it for like little market things, and like what good is this big building? Well, someone took it over, and I was like, oh hello, they're doing a youth cafe. This is a good idea. In this part of the town where you can attract a lot of young people, you're doing a youth cafe, and they wanted volunteers or whatever. I turned up. I was like, I run down just around the corner. I run a hairdresser's, so I've come after work, and I'll come here and I'll help you. And like, what do you want me to do? Sort of thing, yeah. And like, they did this meeting where they explained all their plans, and they were like, we're going to put vinyl records on the walls, like Happy Days. We're going to serve burgers. We're going to have people making burgers. I was like, who's going to be cooking the burgers? And she's like, oh, volunteers. And I was like, right. And then it was like, we might have a PlayStation, you know, and kids can come and use it. And I was like, do you understand kids these days? Like, they're out there like sniffing canisters of laughing gas and like stabbing each other. You don't need a fucking vinyl on the walls. And I was all right on at them about these burgers as well, because like McDonald's is down the road. That's where all the kids hang out. So you're going to compete with McDonald's. As a youth centre, you're going to compete with McDonald's, and like, you're not going to win because McDonald's has got better burgers. So I would fuck the burgers off. We need to think about this differently. They didn't listen. That was the other thing. They were getting a pool table in. Someone had donated a pool table, and I was like, this ain't going to work. Like, there's a pool table at my local boozer, and the kids are up there drinking, like, you know, half a lager while they're supposed to be like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then I looked into it more. They'd got like a big grant, like hundreds of thousands of monies from people helping them and their charity organisation and a big grant to do this. Who wins in that? I'll tell you who won. The landlord of the building in the nice area of town. Boris Johnson's mates, the landlords, they got their pay, they got their money. Oh, you want to rent this building for your youth club? Go ahead. You know, they got paid. And all this money got poured down the shitter. And it was a lot of money. And I watched them do it. And in the end, the kids didn't go there. And they didn't want to do it. So after a few weeks and months, it had to close. It had to close. Like, some old lady as a volunteer cooking you a burger isn't going to attract the local youth. So it had to close. So, like, I know about... I've seen things like this, right? You like my mug? That's a gift. My sister got me that. Gifted. My sister, Christmas. Thank you very much, my sister. You have to thank her. Thank you for noticing. I did actually have a Nintendo 64. It was one of my favourite times in my life, playing Zelda. Anyway, look, so what I'm saying is they're getting money and they're spending it on a 5-foot inflatable.
Thank you. We've got routes set up for people to do today. We've actually overnight got, I think you've already shared it, we've got this 10-foot illuminated box.
10-foot illuminated box. I need to see it, don't I? I need to see it, see what this money's gone on. Nicola Bulley. Nicola Bulley. Tell you what, I've searched it on Google so much, they think I've done it. Nicola Bulley, 10-foot box. What do you mean a 10-foot box? That sounds like a coffin. Isn't it? A 10-foot box. Where's my 10-foot illuminated box? Why can't I see it? Why is there no evidence of the 10-foot illuminated... You'd think someone would take a photo of a 10-foot illuminated box being driven from Blackpool to... It hasn't achieved its aim, has it? This 10-foot illuminated box, if it even exists. What's going on with the... That's made me cross, even though it's like a non-thing.
I actually drove from Blackpool to Preston last night. It's going to be driving around. It's going to be prominently in St Michael's today, just to raise that awareness. And if someone... Just to
raise that awareness. Red flag, bang, raise, up high, raise. Lots and lots of red flags through pools and lots of hurt. Raise, up high. We're talking pillars again, talking raising, you know, talking high up.
One can just shed a little...
10-foot box is like a coffin. You've seen it on drone footage. Interesting. And she was worried about the drones earlier as well. Interesting, these ideas are just like, you know, these are subconscious things that are coming out in the language and you can collage them together and make a slightly different picture.
A little bit of light to give us some evidence. That's all we're asking.
And it's just a simple phone call.
A simple phone call.
She stopped herself there when she said evidence.
Michael's today, just to raise that awareness, and if someone can just shed a little bit of light to give...
Shed, she said there, shed. Is someone being kept in an outbuilding or a shed?
St Michael's today.
Or is it about light? Because she was concerned with the amount of light. Remember, she was talking about holding a torch and stuff like that. So she's talking about somewhere dark. We're thinking about somewhere dark, or like if you are locked in a shed and it's just a crack of light that you can see a chink of light coming through, you know, something like that. Or it could be an attic building or an attic of a building.
To raise that awareness, and if someone can just shed a little bit of light to give us some evidence, that's all we're asking.
To give us some evidence. Do you really want evidence? Obviously not, because you stopped abruptly when you said the word evidence. That was like a evidence.
Asking.
And it's just a simple phone call.
A simple phone call, yeah. And nothing's too small. But then again, don't clog the lines with trivia.
No.
Clogged lines, clogged, interesting. But don't clog the lines with trivia. Trivia. What do you mean you don't clog the lines with trivia? What are you going to be doing? Corning up? Like, do you know in 1974 when they did the World Cup? Like, I don't know what. Trivia. Don't clog the lines with trivia. The Lion King grossed 16 million at the box office. Thought it'd help. It's just trivia, mate. I don't need to know that. Well, you're doing a pub quiz, maybe? No? Sorry, Nicola Bulley helpline. Hello, Nicola Bulley helpline. Hello, Nicola Bulley hotline. Don't clog it with trivia anyway. She's not interested in trivia. She means trivial matters. But she can't say that because that's exactly what the helpline's for. Is anything, even how trivial, it doesn't matter. We want to know.
Raise that awareness, and if someone can just shed a little...
Are you going to, at her eyes, I don't know. I'll have another look on the next video, the next one as well, though.
Give us some evidence. That's all we're asking.
And it's just a simple phone call.
A simple phone call, yeah. And nothing's too small. But then again, don't clog the lines with trivia.
No. And for you, you're not ruling anything out.
Not ruling anything out, no. And we have to. I've always said, my children, Nicky's children, we've got to carry that hope. But until we find something, we can't go and tell them we have a hypothesis.
It's going to be tough for them.
We can't go and tell them we have a hypothesis, she says, which is interesting. Again, we can't tell them. My children, Nicky's children, she says. You could lump those two together now, then, eh?
The little girls this weekend, isn't it?
Very, very much so. And we've all been about the routine. So they're going to...
sort of face. Just to scan it back. It's almost like when Paul's referring to the kids, like he had a bit of a sneer on.
And we've all been about the routine.
We've all been about the routine. It's almost like a bit of a sneer on. I think maybe, I suppose, condescension could come into it because they're children, aren't they? Like, they're just fucking idiots, aren't they, children? Like, they don't know what's going on. So, like, you think in the media, oh, how important it is for these kids. And, like, you know, and for me at the other end, I'm just like, well, just fucking get them into the car, get them into karate club, you know, and get on with it. Like, you know, I don't think there is as much depth of thought going into this worry about the children for her.
So they're going to the clubs and doing what we normally do on a Saturday and just keeping them occupied.
Just keep them occupied. Just keep them occupied, really. Don't have to talk to them about their feelings then or anything like that. Just keep them occupied and they'll be fine. That's a condescension on the. That's why the sneer was there, because she's condescending about children. In the same way as with the dog. You know, the dog really likes the ball. I don't like the ball, so the ball's gone. Fuck the dog. Like, it's just a dog, mate. Like, I wonder how she feels about animals. Eating and killing of animals. I'm personally vegan for these sort of reasons. I think, you know, it's not just a dog. It has a life and it has feelings, and I know it because I've got a dog that has a life and feelings and its own thoughts, and it can be happy and it can be sad, and I don't want it to suffer. And so if that's the case for the dog, that's also the case for the cow, and it's also the case for the pig. So I don't want them to suffer either. I'm all right with that. I wonder if she'll go out and just shoot the damn pig. Shut up, you idiot. I want pork chops. Like, I wonder if she's like that, and like there's this sort of harshness, this arrogance about it, and so therefore with the kids, like, you know, some people might say, do they need counselling? Oh, just let them get on with it, they're just kids, you know, sort of thing. Paul's name change yesterday, I did see that, this Facebook name change, saw that come up in YouTube. I don't have evidence for it necessarily. I might be able to show you a Facebook picture of someone's name that isn't their name anymore, so, but it does seem a bit sus, wanting to disappear, a bit like Nicky. But at the same time, publicly doing so. So, a bit like Nicky. I'm the super chuffer. Next, we've got this, and this is like a 3-minute interview. Bear in mind, those were little interviews, and we've now done 2 hours. So, I want to finish this one up. We're probably not going to get to the news. What was it? News conference. I wanted to do the police news conference, and I want to reflect on what this chuffer says. So. That might be its own episode. We need to finish off red flagging Paul. There's like 5 or 10 minutes more of Paul, so that has to come up at some point when we squeeze it in. A bit like Nicky, she might come up, she might get squeezed in. Sorry, not making my bad jokes anymore. I'll stop making my bad jokes. And then there's a little bit here on Twitter from Sky News, which is a minute long. So let's get on with the next one. This was on Channel 5. This was on the same programme when we watched the red flagger for Paul. This was on the same programme as that. And she has agreed to do an interview from her own home, it seems, broadcast into the studio. And I think the reason they did this like this, like if you're a production on television, you could have done your Nicky interview, like you could have done her the same way as you did Paul. Edited it and just put it in there. But you didn't. You wanted this to have a feel of a live feel. So she's having to do the live broadcast. You want it to be in the studio on the big telly look. It makes more of a production. So it's more of a show, isn't it, for those reasons. And so everyone's aware of that. And so Nicky herself has decided on what kind of jumper she's going to wear. The camera crew. This isn't. You don't think this is done on her phone. She's not like set up her phone in the lounge and they broadcast it through. They actually have the camera crew there. They're just live sending it through. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So she's got a camera crew, she's got lighting, she's got like people around. They've decided which place you're going to sit and what's going to happen, and then they've shot it. That's my guess. Or they could have said, look, set up your camera like this, put it here, make sure the lights are on. Okay, that'll work. But if you're doing television and you're organising this special, I doubt you're just going to rely on someone at home to set up the camera. Look, she's got a microphone on, hasn't she? Look, she's got one of those Lavalier microphones on. She's got one of these. I've got one. I'm a streamer. I'm a streamer. So I've got one of these so I can go wandering about and you can still hear me. So she's got a professional crew at the house. I don't know if that includes makeup. Maybe she's done her own. Let's go.
Like for you?
You can't put into words
Again, you can't put into words. We're hearing the same thing said over and over again, that you can't put it into words. Well, I can put it into words. You can't, for some reason. You can't. And we are going heavy on the makeup, aren't we? Heavy eye makeup, almost as if she's going to be going out later. She's got big stick-on lashes. It's not a very sharp image, this one, but trust me, if you see the HD image, which I have, it's big stick-on lashes. So, not troubling, because she's on national television. You might be angsting over it. Maybe the makeup artist has done this to you. Not awful, but, like, maybe not ideal as well.
For you?
You can't put into words the roller coaster we've been on the past 2 weeks.
So we've used roller coaster again. Roller coasters, of course, are not just horrible feelings. Roller coasters are at theme parks. You have a good time on them. You laugh, you scream, you go, way, woo. Super critical, super chuffer, absolutely. I'm red flagging this one. I'm red flagging it. My aim here is just to put as many red flags in as I can. So bear it in mind, take it with a pinch of salt. If you don't like it, it's fine. We can white flag her again another time, but this is red flagging. That's what I'm doing. Giving it its own cool name as well, red flagging. Like snowboarding. No G. Serious jocking. Red flagging. Everyone else will start doing it. Everyone else will start red flagging. You'll see other people. You'll see more popular, like mainstream streamers using the phrase red flagging. They'll say I'm red flagging. Like there'll be people all over doing it in the future. Like React content, there'll be red flagging content. It'll be a trend, and then YouTube will have to stamp down on it because they'll go too far. But you'll all know where it started. Talking to the pillar there, look. Apparently she's the pillar of the family, according to Paul. When did he say that though? In the interview, he said that Nicola was the pillar of the family, didn't he? Not this Emma, but it gets confused in this interview, doesn't it? I've seen a little bit of this because I watched the programme. And I will draw your attention to the fact, as we're saying it in chat right now, that right behind her, what's this? What's this? Is that a lamp? It's not, is it? You're on a sofa. You're in your nice open plan house. And what have you got behind you there? Is it a lamp? Or is it an oak pillar? It could just be a bit of bookcase, couldn't it? Or is it an oak pillar? Are there any pillars in your house? There's no pillars in my house. Oh, guitars. Good spot in the background there. Guitars, lots of them. So, does she play the guitar or is that her husband's maybe? But I'm focused on this big wooden oak thing. Is it a pillar? If it's a pillar, right, then I'm going to go fucking nuts and want to arrest her. Now, if I'm a police, bear in mind, the police have been given a bit of a kicking and I gave them a bit of a kicking. And if they ever watch my stuff, they'll probably want to murder me. I think you don't have to murder me. You can just offer me money, the police. They don't have any money, do they? The Conservative government have not given them any money. In fact, they've taken away all the money. So they'll have to just murder me instead. It's cheaper. But I would take the money. I'll delete these videos and just take the bribes. That'll be fine. Everyone's got a price. It's better than being murdered, isn't it? So anyway, with this though, if that is a pillar, I'm going to want questions asked because we've got all these people mentioning pillars, and if you've got a pillar at your bloody house, it will do my head in. It will seem like, it's like at the end of the film when everyone's been going on about pillars all the film, and then it turns out, oh, if you tilt your head this way, oh no, there's been pillars all the whole time. Oh, it was her. A bit like that, isn't it?
It's the heartache, the torture, the disbelief.
The torture. There's a new word. There's a new word.
So we've been on the path.
Let's go back right to the start. I want to hear what his question is.
Spending a bit of time with us this evening. Can I ask you, what have the past 2 weeks been like for you?
You can't put into words the roller coaster we've been on the past 2 weeks. It's the heartache, the torture.
Torture? What do you mean torture? Who's torturing somebody? Torture, that's aggressive, violent acts. Torture, bad, sadistic. I've just, today, she's saying the words, I'm reflecting on them. Red flag.
The roller coaster we've been on the past 2 weeks. It's the heartache, the torture, the disbelief.
The disbelief gets a funny expression of its own. It gets this almost exasperated look. There's a raise of the eyebrows, a look up into the air, like, I can't believe this. Disbelief, yeah, kind of sings true in a way, but there's almost exasperation with it as well, for me. Disbelief, who's being believed, who's not being believed. Disbelief. Is she frustrated? Like, and she's doing like this with the lower jaw. And that's the face she's pulling when she's saying it. I'm not making her do that. Like, what's the protrusion of the lower jaw? Is that aggression to me, isn't it? Aggression? Or do you want to hide your jaw if you were being protective? So maybe it's aggression. I'm going to find out. I'm going to ask the internet what it thinks a bit more specifically. Protrusion, lower jaw, body language. Here's a secret. You'll love this. Here's a secret. I used to have a body language channel, which I'm not doing anymore, but it exists. It's still on the internet. And one of the things I used to do is I used to do this sort of thing offline. So I'd take the video, I'd record my thoughts about it, and if I got an idea, I could go on the internet and I could have a look. And then I could speak it off the internet as if it was my idea that I just know. And you don't know. In the edit, it's a fact. But you know, now you're seeing behind the veil, so to speak, the great and powerful Oz. It's a sign of anger or exasperation. So I'm right. I just like to have it confirmed. It's like the person biting on an imaginary silver dollar to keep from blurting out how stupid your last statement was. So, yeah, I'm going with anger, exasperation, like in an aggressive sort of way. Disbelief. So, disbelief of what? Because there's been theories put forward. Maybe she doesn't believe them and she's angry and it's her disbelief. Or maybe it's people not quite believing her. And whether they state outright, I don't believe you. Or whether they say it behind her back and she hears the gossip in the village. Or whether it's someone closer to her that she feels isn't believing her. There's disbelief and it's angering and exasperating her. What he asked her is, how does it feel for you?
Spending a bit of time with us this evening. Can I ask you, what are the past 2 weeks been like for you?
You can't put into words the roller coaster we've been on the past 2 weeks. It's the heartache, the torture, the disbelief, washed down with this immense hope.
Washed down with this immense hope. Washed down. What do you wash down? Something you drink? Washed down. Maybe drugs. Maybe you've been drugged. You wash it down with something. Maybe tablets, you know, you wash them down with something. Or maybe something's been washed down. Maybe something's been cleaned down. Maybe you've had to, you know, wash things off with a hose and wash it down. Or maybe you wash it down in a way down the plug hole. Like, there's different aspects of that, but they're all red flags. Or maybe she's been doing a lot of drinking and taking some drugs.
The roller coaster we've been on the past 2 weeks. It's the heartache, the torture, the disbelief, washed down with this immense hope.
And hope gets like a sigh and you're closing your eyes. And again, you're doing this thing with your jutting jaw. So I don't agree with hope. Hope's been said, but it's not been agreed with by the body language.
Then we've got this drive and focus to bring Nikki home.
A driving focus to bring Nikki home. And a pause here where she closes her eyes again. This is stress.
It's hope. And then we've got...
Hope got a hope as well. She spat the word.
Disbelief. Washed down with this immense hope. And then we've got this drive and focus to bring Nikki home. And then we've had to put emotions aside, being that support for Paul and the girls.
We've had to put emotions aside, being that support for Paul and the girls. See, now, okay, I can red flag that in a number of ways, but like what I want to say is that you don't have to put your emotions aside if you want to support someone. That's the opposite. You want to use your, you know, access your emotions and be part of it emotionally. Like, they're going to be emotional with them. Like, support them in that way, don't you? Or do you, like, is it just that you're making them sandwiches and making sure that everyone gets to school on time? Like, being a pillar of support, like, emotionally, like, you know, you've got to be, you know, part of the, your feelings are involved. Like, why are you pushing your emotions away? Like, that seems strange to me. And that could be because she's, like, in some way guilty, but it could also just be because she's in some way messed up and, like, she doesn't know how to operate as a human being. But certainly, I would suggest that emotions are critical at this time. And okay, you don't want to let them overpower and go out of control, but you certainly don't want to be like acting without emotion. But maybe if you've done something that might trouble you emotionally, you might have to act without emotion. You know, if I had to put my dog down, I might have to act without emotion at that moment. still feeling it, burying it in there. I mean, I've been through these things, so I know. But even then, I couldn't act without emotion. I had to, be emotional. I didn't want the dog to feel bad, but, I did. So, end of. But you try and bury it down. You try and act, like control yourself for everybody else, don't you? So maybe that.
Take the torture, the disbelief, wash down with this immense hope. And then we've got this drive and focus to bring Nikki home. And then we've had to put emotions aside.
What kind of car do they have? Driving a Focus. Is a Ford Focus? Ford Focus is a kind of car, isn't it? In the UK. Like, if I was to say to you driving Focus, just those two words, driving Focus in the UK, any of our UK listeners, you would understand what I mean when I say that makes you think of a car. Driving, of course, but Focus is the model of a car that's quite a popular car model in the UK. So maybe they don't have a Focus, but certainly we've got, I'm picking out these little words that are going on in her subconscious that are coming out. So they've got a driving Focus to bring Nikki home, or driving driving Focus, Nikki. Has she been driving around a sort? I don't know. There's something in that maybe, but it's an amber flag. And Nikki had a Mercedes, right? But it's an amber flag to me then, an amber flag.
Being that support for Paul and the girls and my family, and
her family's an afterthought.
And focus to bring Nikki home. And then we've had to put emotions aside, being that support for Paul and the girls. And
again, she said we've had to put emotions aside. I don't know who we is, but maybe the group who's supporting.
And my family.
And my family get this like afterthought, which is a bit strange, isn't it? Like, I understand that your support is for Paul and the girls, and they're in this difficult time. So why are you bringing your family into it? Maybe maybe she feels guilty that she's not supporting her family through this time because she's preoccupied with someone else's family, and maybe her own family, like maybe her own husband has said to her, look, you're being preoccupied, you're always over there with Paul. And like her family's getting second breath here, aren't they? She gulps a lot, doesn't she? Yeah, she's doing a lot of these breathing gulps. I'll tell you what's interesting as well, she's looking off over here. One of the problems with her eyes here is that she's got some cards. Like the way she laboured over the talking about her family then as well, maybe I'm thinking she's reading this off cards now. Let's let her talk a bit more, and let's let it sing a bit more so I can feel whether she's reading it off cards.
Being that support for Paul and the girls and my family, and just putting that brave face on, telling them everything's all right, but equally being honest with them, knowing that Nikki is missing and the girl's mummy is missing. No 2 days has been the same, no 2 hours been the same, and just waiting for that good news and keeping that hope at the forefront of our minds.
We've heard a lot from Paul.
Yeah, she keeps looking in this particular place, over to there, and it's because she's reading something off cards. Someone's probably got like something they're holding and are either moving or, something like this.
All right, but equally being honest with them, family, and just putting that brave face on, telling them everything's all right, but equally being honest with them.
She's had to pause over honest, putting the brave face on, telling them everything is all right, but equally being honest with them.
Knowing that Nikki is missing and the girl's mummy is missing. No 2 days has been the same, no 2 hours been the same, and just...
No 2 days have been the same. No 2 hours have been the same. It's kind of a weird thing to say. Getting like a, psyche sense about it, but I don't know what to mean about it. I don't know what to say about it. But it's just something about that. No 2 days being the same, no 2 hours being the same. 2 hours. 2 days. Because I would suggest that actually a few of these hours are almost like Groundhog Day, aren't they? A few of these days are almost a bit like Groundhog Day. You wake up, you've got new news, no new news. The search has concluded nothing. Everyone's just still searching. Like, it's been 21 days now. The only real changes have been little leaked pieces of information from the way the police have handled it, leaking things to the press, and then the press, drip feeding stories and conjuring stuff. Them doing these interviews. But other than that, like, yeah, I find it troubling.
Waiting for that good news and keeping that hope at the forefront of our minds.
Waiting for the good news keeping that hope at the forefront of your minds. Do you remember that in the other interview she was very concerned with finance? She was very concerned with money. So that could ring true, that bit, if you were still waiting for this good news and this hope of some reward. It might not be about Nicola, that couldn't be, but you know, that could also be true.
A lot from Paul tonight, Nicky's partner, and he's told us a lot about the Nicola that he loves. What
Big smile there now.
about the Nicola that you know so well?
Big smile. You would assume that it's a big smile for Nicola, because we're talking about the Nicola that you love. Now, a big smile could also be for Paul, because he just mentioned Paul. Either way, this was real trouble, wasn't it? I said I didn't like it that she was smiling. We only glossed over it the first time we looked at this, but I don't like it that she's smiling here. It's like a big, self-satisfied smile. She's not baring teeth. She's still got her lips firmly pursed. She knows something here. It's like the smile of someone who knows something, isn't it? Self-satisfied smile.
Yeah, I think just from seeing her face out there, she's touched the nation, hasn't she, and everything.
Cut away from her, which is annoying, but...
Yeah, I think just from seeing her face out there, she's touched the nation, hasn't she, and everything that you see, and a little bit more, is what she is inside. She's beautiful, she's caring, she's thoughtful, she's kind, she's funny.
Do you remember the first time we watched this as well, I kept saying, when she says she's, I like it. It's better than she is. She is. Because she is that Paul was doing is much more deliberate. I'm making sure I say is and not was. She is, she is. Whereas she's is much more natural. So you've got this one already off a card though, haven't you, I think, probably.
Nation, hasn't she, and everything that you see, and a little bit more, is what she is inside. She's...
Everything you see and a little bit more is what she is inside. Again, red flag that to say there's something more going on inside the house.
Beautiful, she's caring, she's thoughtful, she's kind, she's funny, she's loving, the most loyal friend. She's the stuff that dreams are made of.
I find it interesting that she describes her as a loyal friend, and Paul, in the same interview day, on the same day, describes her as being a loyal friend. And it's just fucking ridiculous that Paul would, like, it's like, she can say she's a loyal friend because she's actually a friend, you know. So from the heart, oh, she's a loyal friend. Like, yeah, I get it. But if you're Paul, you're like, oh, I've heard someone else describe her as a loyal friend, so I will describe her as a loyal friend also. Like, it's not, you don't, like, I don't describe someone as being a loyal friend to others. Like, they're a loyal friend to me. So it's nice that she said that, a loyal friend. It also makes me think of Mark Antony, is it? Caesar. Come to bury Caesar. I come to bury Caesar. Isn't it? Is it? Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil men do lives after them. Is good often turned with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it was so, it were a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under the leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honourable man. So they all honourable men. I come to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he's ambitious. And Brutus is an honourable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When the poor have cried, Caesar's wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious. Brutus is an honourable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal. I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? But Brutus says he's ambitious. And sure, Brutus is an honourable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke. I'm here to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me. Brutus is an honourable man. Brutus is an honourable man. sometimes people say things, but they don't mean what they say. Sometimes people say the opposite of what they say. Brutus is an honourable man. I'm not saying Nikki wasn't a good person, but what I'm saying was that the relationship that's being described here by her friend is one of naive perfection. A wonderful, loyal friend. Do you remember earlier as well with the Paul interview when we red flagged Paul? Paul said that she was a loyal friend unless you got on a bad side, in which case, but he didn't go off there anywhere further. He just sort of said, you know, a loyal friend. If you're her friend, she's a really good friend, implying if you're not, there's an issue. And if something comes between two good friends and they start to squabble and row, I don't know, like, I don't know.
Loving the most loyal friend. She's the stuff that dreams are made of. And
there's that word, dreams. Paul used that word as well. I feel like I'm in a dream. She's the stuff that dreams are made of. And she looked up into the heavens, of course, when she said it.
The most loyal friend. She's the stuff.
She's looking up.
That dreams are made.
Dreams are made of. Dreams. She's looking up and she's talking about dreams. So again, we're up in the rafters. We're up in the bedrooms. Dreams. Sleep, death, perchance to dream. To sleep, perchance to dream. I'm doing Shakespeare now. What the fuck's wrong with me? Hi, this is Scotty Hottie Shakespeare Hour. I'm not going to do that one. We've just done one. You know, next time it comes up, I'll do another one. But I'm not doing two Shakespeares back to back. Anyway, to sleep, perchance to dream.
They're made of, and we've laughed, we've cried, everything in between. And then you take Nikki's lovely, amazing qualities. You add.
You've laughed. Hang on. So we've laughed, we've cried, and everything in between. Is that what she just said?
She's the stuff that dreams are made of, and we've laughed, we've cried, everything in between, and then you. Everything
in between. She like stutters over it, stumbles over it. Anything in between. Someone's between. Someone between. Yeah. And anyway, what is between laughing and crying and everything? Like, isn't that just like a gamut of emotions? You're saying that you've been through roller coasters earlier in this interview. Roller coasters, ups, downs, laughed, cried, everything in between. Like, what are we talking about here when you just described a sort of stable, wonderful, lovely, kind to animals? That's a strange one, actually. I should have picked that up more when she said it in the other interview. Kind to animals. Like, that's proof that she's kind, because people who are kind to animals are kind, aren't they? Therefore, like, and I'm not saying that I'm a vegan, so therefore I'm super kind, aren't I? But like, I don't think you judge people like that. I would say if they are kind to animals, that's a good trait, but it doesn't mean that I absolve them of all murders. But the stuff dreams are made of, we've been everything in between. It does actually, good point, Samantha. It does sound a bit like a eulogy, doesn't it? A speech at a funeral. It does sound like that. Quite emotional here, but emotional without showing any real emotional. Like, if I got emotional, and I will quickly tell you, of course, I do tell you all the way through the episodes, check out the rest of my content, check out the rest of my lives, scroll down even, go and have a look at some old ones. What the hell? Have a look at that. I've also got other channels that I create. Some of them are interesting, some of them might not be. Whatever. Have a look at different things, you chuffer. But if you look at some of my old content, it's boring, it's old, it's still pertinent. But some of them, I actually cry. Like, I'll show you one. I'll show you me crying. I know where I can find one. If I go to channels, Ganjikidd Arts, I was doing some like game reviews, trying to edit game reviews and seeing if that was going to take off. It didn't. But this is me playing Moonlighter, and at one point I'm talking about Moonlighter, talking about this computer game that I reviewed, and I was referring to how when I was a kid, when you're going through difficult struggles, you've still got like this little computer game like your Game Boy, and it seems ridiculous, but what happens in this game is it refers to a moment in a game. It refers to Zelda by saying like this. Try to make players feel like they're in a kind of miniature garden, and his challenge is to make people feel comfortable. And that's a nice thought, isn't it? It's a nice thought. But I didn't realise this. Iwata. We talk about the guy from Nintendo, Iwata, who designed the games, who's dead now, and he created there's a small character that alludes to him in Zelda and The Lord of the Mountain. Talking about Iwata and his theories. Anyway, this depth of the art and the games, and some games weren't like, when I was playing like there's so many titles, aren't there? But when I was playing Elite, I should have edited that bit better anyway. But I didn't want to edit it because it's the bit where I start crying anyway. But look, I start crying. Look, here we are. You know, mate. I didn't know I was going to be doing this now, did I, on stream? I didn't know I was going to be getting like this. Got to pull myself together. If you are a gamer, you'll understand what I'm talking about, though, I'm sure. I've got to vocalise things, I've got to be able to say them, haven't I? I think sometimes, not for everyone, but when you're a kid, life can be hard. The reason that's making me feel emotional is because I don't think that should be factual. I don't think that should be the truth of people's childhood. But, you know, it was the truth of mine. So, see, I'm doing it now. See, I'm making myself feel emotional, reflecting on that now. That's fine. That's okay. Like, if I want to reflect on something that makes me feel sad, I'll get through it. And if you watch the full episode, it's only a little review of a game, like, so it's not that interesting. But I do pull my shit together. You know, I have my little moment. I think about it, pull myself together. It's nice the game made me feel something. I was talking about games in the review there. It's nice that game made me feel something, made me reflect on something in childhood, made me realise about how I approached my time in virtual worlds as an escape from difficulties in my childhood. Like, so that was a lovely thing that happened. And I'm proud of it in a way. Quite proud of it. Not afraid to cry, not afraid to show emotion. And when I do, like I did just then, actual tears come to my eyes. Like actual tears. But with this, what's troubling is she's got all this dark makeup on, and you'd think, I might be wrong, but you'd think you would see if you had tears and they started to come, that it might smudge your makeup, and maybe that's why you're struggling not to cry. But when you refer to your friend who's been missing now for like 2 weeks, and you assume possibly the worst of this, and you're going through all this struggle, supporting Paul, supporting the kids, and your own family are suffering. If you're not in some way emotionally stirred to tears, I worry. Because I would be, and I wouldn't be able to just hold it in and pretend that it's okay. I would actually do a little cry, and then it'd be okay. Well, not okay. Not okay, not okay, not fixed, but it's okay that you cry. Like if you're watching this at home or anywhere, you know, I don't care where you are, you know, if you're watching this in space, for Christ's sake, it's okay if you have a cry. You know, it's okay if things make you feel something. What's not okay is to stay there forever and go down and down this hole and like get defeated and allow life to push you around and only cry secretly, and like that's not okay. Like it's okay to cry, feel something, explore the feeling, and then move on and say, okay, I'm going to change my setting now. Maybe take the dog for a walk, maybe make a cup of tea. I've reflected on that. It's brought something up. Maybe I need to put it on the pin board for a bit more reflection later when I feel a bit stronger. But ultimately, I'm going to move forward. So it's okay to do that. Okay, bear that in mind. It's absolutely fine to do that. But here, I'm not seeing those honest human emotions come through, which would have been a lot better. Just a little tear and a little, sorry, I'm just going to have to pause here because, you know, it's making me feel something. She said earlier about how she had to deliberately push her emotions away. I don't know why you would.
Take Nikki's lovely, amazing qualities. You had Paul's in there. And then we've got these two little human beings that we have to do everything to bring Nikki home and bring their mummy home for them.
So she's kind of describing the kids there as well. And she uses some quite strange language. You've got Nikki's in there, Paul's in, Nikki's in there.
And we've laughed, we've cried. Everyone in between, and then you take Nikki's lovely, amazing qualities. You had Paul's in there, and then we've got these two little human beings that we have to do everything to bring Nikki home and bring their mummy home for them.
It's weird. We've got Nikki's in there, Paul's in there. Are you saying in the DNA mix of the children, or are you saying in the house? Nikki's in there, and then you've got these two little human beings, like children, you mean? Like it's almost now to the point where she has used sanitizing, distancing language so heavily that she's now just like almost robotically describing, like, you know, two little humanoid beings. Like it's this deliberate mental disconnect between the harsh reality of what you don't want to speak on and a way of speaking the words so that you don't show those emotions. So it could be just that you're so sad that you don't want it. Like, you know, if I was to say about there are certain words I could say that would trigger me to feel those really sad emotions, And it happened. Another one that happened was I was playing Genshin Impact, the game I really enjoy playing, which I'm going to be playing later on Twitch tonight, actually. And I had to name a character, and I named him after my dead dog. Like, this sounds ridiculous, okay? But I named this character after my dead dog, and then I had to speak his name on stream and say, I'm naming this character Navin. And, like, just speaking his name and thinking about him, you know, it made me feel things. I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. And then, like, you know, then you have an emotional response to it, don't you? So maybe I choose not to say Navin. Maybe I choose to say my dead dog, so I don't have to say Navin. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, I use more qualifying language that it's not personal to me. But she's instead of saying the children's names, I suppose, we're now saying the children. But here, we're not even saying the children. We're saying two little human beings. So Nikki is emotionally disconnected, and that's a red flag.
We have to do everything to bring Nikki home and bring their mummy home for them.
I know that you and many other people have put everything on hold over the past fortnight, helping the family and helping the police.
A nod and a half shake of the head. So I'm imagining that not everything's gone on hold. Certain things have been done. There's a sort of purse of the lips here, again, a sort of condescending smile here. No, someone feels a little bit better than others. Maybe it's because we're now talking about this group of people that are there to help, and, you know, she's had to put everything on hold. And what she had to put it on hold to do, like when you got volunteers, she said earlier, we've made these routes for them to walk and we've got these things for them to hold. Like, there's a little bit of logistics involved. And when they're volunteers, you can't sack them. So you can't say to them, look, pull your fucking finger out or I'll fucking sack you, right? Which I never even said to anyone that I used to have working with me. I never said that. But sometimes I might have thought it. Like, you can't sack them anyway, so you have to bimble around with these fucking chuffers. And I shouldn't say fucking chuffers, should I? That's the point of chuffers, is so that I don't say fuck. So you have to bimble around with these people, and it's just what it is. You have to find a sense of humour about it. She obviously doesn't have that. She obviously doesn't have that. Some exasperation on her face again.
But many other people have put everything on hold over the past...
Hello, Squirrel Sniper. Is Squirrel Sniper in my chat? Banging. I like you, Squirrel Sniper. You're always there on Martin's chat, and I've been popping in from time to time to keep an eye, but not been making so much content about him. This seems to be taking off a bit, but we will be checking back into Martin's world at some point. Hello, Squirrel Sniper.
Fortnight, helping the family and helping the police as well. The community response has...
Oh, clear. Navin is like Navin from The Jerk. Navin Johnson. Yes, Navin R. Johnson. And he had a dog, and the dog was called Shithead, wasn't it? Because it woke all those people up. But Navin, right, it's my stream. It's my stream. Shouldn't do this, really, because I'm an entertainer. But it's my stream. It's my channel. This is my channels. This is Battery Exhausted, one of my other channels, where I put B-side material up over the years. Just call it that. Just say that, a B-side scrapbook. So if here I go Navin, and I find Navin. This is my dog Navin. This is him singing. All right, you. That's for another day. That's another story. Poor bugger. He was a rescue dog. It was quite difficult, and he went through some biting episodes, and I had him a long time, and I got bitten a good few times, and at the end we had to go and do the long walk together, you know. It was one of them. It was such a... I've got a really nice dog now, but it was such a trauma, the whole thing, overall. But yeah, saying your dog's off. Sorry. He was a good boy as well. He was a beautiful good boy. He just came from the rescue, and he'd had a bad life, and like he was scared of being hit or like if you raised your arm like that quick, he would probably be very scared and want to run away, and if he couldn't, he'd bite your foot. Do you know what I mean? You're just careful around him sometimes, son. And that was okay because I loved him, but not okay because dangerous. So it was one of those things. I had a difficult dog for a while. Yeah, went through it. The full, you know, stuck it out. Glad that I did my part. Let's get back onto this chuffer.
Been incredible. I was up in St Michael's on Wire today. There's people everywhere on street corners holding up posters.
Sort of purse of the lips here.
I was up in St Michael's on Wire today. There's people everywhere on street corners holding up posters.
She's definitely like sucking in at her lips. She's trying to hold back what she wants to say, not interrupt. I expect she's much more used to interrupting people, but on television you can't interrupt. In space you can't interrupt. So she can't interrupt here, but it's exasperating her, and she's pursing her lips. And it's this idea about these people hanging up the placards as well. I think she just feels that she's some way a step above these people, these dullards who are stood out on the side of the road holding placards. And if you knew what had happened to Nicola and you knew that she wasn't coming back, then you would kind of be laughing at these people in a way. Do you know what I mean? In a way, I've done something and I've got you stood out on the side of the road all day, you fucking idiot. Like, ha ha ha. But obviously don't show that on television.
That's been incredible. I was up in St Michael's on Wire today. There's people everywhere on street corners holding up posters of Nikki everywhere. Has that struck you? I know you're a close-knit community anyway.
How has that struck you? Hasn't she organised that?
Yeah, we are a close-knit community, but that community...
What?
Community anyway.
Yeah, we are a close-knit community, but...
We're close... What was that?
Yeah, we are a close-knit community, but that...
Did she not have enough cognitive power to process what he had said and repeat it back to her? That she stuttered over it? She didn't like close-knit anyway. She's not, yeah, we are, but...
Community near and far has united. Oh, it's been fundamental in raising the profile of Nikki's disappearance, generating those lines of inquiry. What I cannot
Okay, this is a bit of a reach, but I'm red flagging, so let's do it anyway. Our community, near and far, united. Very close to Manchester, Manchester United. The red shirts, of course, of Manchester United, prominently seen in that case. The Soham murders, on the images of the two little girls, Holly and Jessica, who disappeared, and of course were murdered. Those red Man United shirts in the mind there, in the social brain of people from this area that understand the world, that remember it when thinking about these crimes. The community's united anyway. And I often wonder, I've heard rumour mill on, and again this is actual rumour mill now, that there's rumours in the town, in the village, and rumours here and there, you know, rumour mill. They even said it on the news, didn't they, that please don't be doing rumours on social media, rumour mill. So I'm not going to say any particular rumour other than I know that there is a rumour mill, they've told me. So if everyone's united and everyone's just looking for the girls, they're not rumour mill behind your back, are they? There's not all people backbiting and like, so why would you say one thing when it's not true? Like, I don't believe everyone in the community is united. Like, maybe they are, or maybe they're not. If they are united, we don't have all this rumour mill problem because everyone's united.
Community anyway.
Yeah, we are a close-knit community, but that community near and far has united. Oh, it's been fundamental in raising the profile of Nikki's disappearance, generating those lines of inquiry. What I cannot stress enough... Generating
the lines of inquiry is important, obviously.
Has united. Oh, it's been fundamental in raising the profile of...
Again, I think she's reading this. I think what I'm finding, all of a sudden I'm really struggling with this. And I think it's because she's reading it. And like, so I can't read her body language because she's just reading off a card, sort of emotionless, or not exuding emotion. She's like, you know, reading it, okay.
Community anyway.
Yeah, we are a close-knit community, but that community near and far has united. Oh, it's been fundamental in raising the profile of Nikki's disappearance, generating those lines of inquiry. What I cannot stress enough is please keep those lines of inquiry, please keep them factual. Don't clog that 101 line that we really need to have that factual information come through to give the police lines of inquiries. Even the locals, with all the disruption they've had on the village, they've been so supportive. We've all got the end goal to bring Nikki home. Then we've got Peter and the SGI group offering their time and expertise to cement the great work that the police have done.
Yeah, because she's listing things now. So, like, listing off a list. It's like this is like an Oscar speech or something, isn't it? It's like, here's a list of people I want to thank. We've got to make sure that we get these people on the list. It's almost like, okay, so this interview has been... How do I explain this? Like, this is on Channel 5. It's part of a produced programme. The main arm of the programme is that Paul's interview is on. We looked at it the other day, you know, we red flagged it. So you've got a certain amount of time in the programme that's filled with Paul's interview. When you're constructing, even on the fly, even short, you know, short time spans, before you go to broadcast, you know that Paul speaks for a set amount of time. You've got it in the edit, the exact number of minutes and seconds. You've got a script for Dan, and Dan in this, when he does his, is it Dan? Who is it? Whoever in the, hang on, let me make sure I remember. 227, that's where we are. You've got a script for this chuffer. He's reading the chuffing thing, yeah? He's got it in front of him. It's on a script. So that's timed. Like, I remember I did a media course. I did HND media, so I know this is truthful from people that worked in the industry. Everyone's got the script. The production team manager, the bloke on his iPad, you know, the camera people are showing the script so they can know what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, so it all runs to schedule, to clockwork, like timed. So for her bit, it's not that you've sat down and you've said, right, we're going to do 3 minutes with Emma. Like you've sat down and said that we're going to do 3 minutes with Emma. Production meeting now. We're in a production meeting now, right? We're going to do 3 minutes with Emma. We're going to do it differently to his. We're going to have her live from her house. We've organised it with Emma, and in the script you're going to throw to Emma, and it's going to come at this point in the interview. And what do you want Emma to say? Like, honestly now, I've made a documentary where some things just had to happen the way they happened because, I was part of Eddie Strongman documentary with Eddie Hall in it. It went on Netflix if anyone's seen that. And Eddie sometimes just did stuff and we followed him and recorded it, you know, and extremely stuff like lifting heavy weights that can't be faked, like just doing it. And then other times, like we needed some shots, for example, of him getting out the car and getting into the house with his family. So we all got out the cars when we got to his house, but then we went in the house. We said, listen, before we go, can we get that shot of you coming out the car again? Like, you know, we faked it, but it was real because he obviously did get out of his car. But it's not a big deal, is it, whether he really did or didn't get out of his car exactly like that? But we didn't get the shot of it, so we needed a shot of it. So we asked him to do it again. Can you go and walk through the hotel doors again for me? Okay, action. Like, I'm making a documentary. I'm not faking life. You did come in the hotel, but I didn't get a good shot of it, and I need that. Sort of thing, yeah. So it didn't go as far as to say, can you say this or can you give us that? But you can make that happen, because let's say I've got 2 minutes with Eddie Hall and I want a piece in my documentary about mental health. So I could sit Eddie down and say, Eddie, have you ever had any mental health struggles in your life? And then I ask another question and say, Eddie, what did it feel like when this happened? And then he's talking about those things I want him to talk about. Cut, 2 minutes of Eddie Hall in the can, let's go. Like, you can make Emma, like, some people said she was like appeared to be like a helpful idiot, or a bit of a puppet. Like, Paul might be using her in some way. Like, it might be as well that, like, she's that sort of character that, like, there's a trade-off here, obviously. You know, she's getting something out of this. But you can make Emma appear on television in a certain context for the good of your TV show. And one of the things that needed bringing up was the thanking all these people. And it's interesting to me that Emma's being broadcast live from the house. Maybe Paul forgot to thank all these people in his interview. Maybe we did the Paul interview and at the end you're like, look, we're going to broadcast this in the show. On the show here, they've got those experts. That diver man is in the studio. So maybe we need someone to say thank you to these people. They've written it on a piece of fucking card or an iPad and they're holding it up in front of her and she's reading the script. So some of this is interesting body language, some of it is like, you know, fair game, and other parts are just like contrived, this is the telly. So that's what I saw there.
Lines of inquiries. Even the locals, with all the disruption they've had on the village, they've been so supportive. We've all got the end goal to bring Nikki home. Then we've got Peter and the SGI group offering their time and expertise to cement the great work that the police have done. And then the acts of kindness from everybody is just unimaginable. And I personally...
Now, I saw a breath in there and a bit of stress on her face, but I believe the breath in the stress there might have been because she's stressed about coming to this list and then they've moved the card and there's another bit more, or, you know, whatever she's reading off. Like, it's the stress of reading this list and getting all the words correct, and her emotion again. She's done this thing where emotions have gone in the bin now. It's aggressive, jutted jaw, it's raised eyebrows and frustration, and like this is someone who feels condescending and angry a lot of the time because they feel they're quicker, sharper, better than other people, and they're ahead of the game, and they're having to wait for others, and they're having to, you know, I've got to say all this fucking boring stuff because we've got to hear it because you idiots can't understand that, like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, there's something about that in her.
I'd like to thank every single one of you, family, friends, strangers. It's the simple act of kindness that have made the biggest difference. And the strength that is...
It's a bit of a strange... It's self-soothing. It's certainly self-soothing. It might also be seen, believe me, look, a hand on my heart, Governor, Honest, Governor, hand on my heart. It's also the fact that she's raising this ring into shot. Have you ever watched the football interviews with the someone called Brave Doug Vlog says financially what could be gained from an insurance standpoint. I'm not sure about insurance. I'm not sure about all that sort of stuff. I wonder whether the Madeleine McCann aspect of it is that the public rally round and then you get this fighting fund to try and find someone and they chip in and they like create a charity and then you just have all the money. I'm not sure about insurance myself. I don't know about that. But people agree with the insurance line. I'm sure people know more about that. I'm not an expert in that sort of thing, I suppose. Apparently that pose was done by Kate McCann as well. Interesting in chat there. You know, when you watch these interviews with footballers and people like that, and like, you know, professional sports people, at the end of the match, they come on and they say, oh, you know, it was a good match and we did this and we did that. And, you know, I'm getting paid an awful lot of money. So if you could just hurry it up, I want to go and not have sex with any prostitutes. Definitely not that. Definitely not riding my fast car around high on cocaine having sex with prostitutes. Not that. I want to go and play golf or something, just wind down. Not with Frank, what's his name? Not with John Terry in a hotel room. No, look. Anyway, look. What they do in these interviews is they'll talk to the camera and they'll raise their hand and just scratch their, like that. Or they'll do a chin rub. And what they're doing is they're bringing up their hand where they've got their watch on and they're paid quite heavily by the watch sponsor. Or alternatively, they just want to show off their watch. Other times it could be headphones. Anthony Joshua, when he weighs in, he's got his headphones on. Not just any old headphones because he likes music. He's wearing Beats by Dre because it cost money to make him put those headphones on. So he'll wear them, thank you very much. So quite often people will show off items of status. Paid to do so on the television. I'm paid to raise my hand and show you my watch because it sells watches. But also, I bought a fucking really spanky watch. And you want to see that, don't you, you chuffer? Like, that can happen as well. So I wonder whether this hand up, this raised hand, is bringing it into shot with these rings on it, whether that's some, like it is a status symbol. That's what this does. It signifies your status as married, but it's also standing out as being this shining ring thing, isn't it? Is that a left hand or a right hand? I don't know if they flipped the image, so I can't tell you, but I'm guessing they didn't flip the image, and that is her left hand, isn't it? Yeah, that's her ring finger, yeah. It's just interesting body language to bring this up and place your hand on your chest like that. It's self-indicative as well. You know, in almost like, you know, if you were, imagine you're in a police lineup and you don't want to be picked out of the lineup and you're patting yourself on the chest. Like, it's me. But it's also self-soothing and it's also like defensive. But it's also ego-driven. It's me. Interesting stuff.
Single one of you, family, friends, strangers, it's the simple act of kindness that have made the biggest difference. And the strength that it's given me to...
The strength. Strength.
This difference. And the strength that it's given me to then be able to be, I heard in Paul's interview, that pillar of support. With people supporting me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls.
She stuttered over all those words, but she's not the pillar of support. Paul didn't say that. He said that Nicola was a pillar of support, pillar of strength. The words pillar of support have not been used. You're saying strength and you're bringing up pillar of support and using it in the wrong context. Pillars and supports. Again, pillars and supports. Is that a pillar or a support behind you? Is that oak beam, an oak pillar? I hope it's not. And pillars and supports. So maybe I'm also thinking of a building that's full of joists, pillars, supports. Again, I'm thinking of attics. I'm thinking of lofts. I'm thinking of like barn spaces. I'm thinking of pillars and supports. I'm also thinking of foundations. I'm thinking of concrete foundations as well. Pillars, supports. Pillars is a pillar could be like made of stone, big stone. And what you do when you build a house, you put in these pillar supports. You know, it's almost like someone who's knocked a few walls down or a bit of DIY, you know, pillars, supports. Someone once described the pose as the Mother Mary on one of the McCann videos. Interesting. and the welfare checks are coming up in chat. I don't know the facts on that, but it's very interesting that the welfare checks are now coming out in other media. But again, I don't know the facts, so I can't. I'm going on what these people are actually saying in front of me and red flagging it and being harsh, but actually what they're saying.
Paul's in to be that pillar of support. With people supporting me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls.
People supported me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls. Does she mean financially though? When you talk about support, often on the internet, tip me. You know, obviously I've got my thing, tip me at coffee.com/Ganji. When we hit 1,000 subs, I'll be able to take super chats. Hooray! And I'll be able to elevate you into the elite status of membership and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not disparaging of it, actually. I think it'll be a really great opportunity for me to create a goal and say, if we get this sort of financial backing, then I can create this sort of media and we can take another step up. In terms, at the moment, I'm sat here talking on the computer. I'll have other people in the room with me talking. That's going to be a step up, like a little podcasty thing. And then there's another step up to that, which is I go out with the cameras and talk to people as well. So we can start, like, you know, funding the content. That'd be great. I'd be really happy with that. So that's all to come. But for her, she's talking about support here as well. So I understand support in that way. You know, I've got a tip me at coffee. That could say support me at Coffee Ganji. Like, it's synonym. It's the word that means the same word. So is she now, with mention of that support, the financial support she's receiving or putting in the kitty or what have you, she's able to then support Paul? Is that what's happening? Or is it some sort of other kind of support, like emotional, physical? She said she wanted to put the emotions aside when she was supportive, so maybe it's not emotional. Physical, it can't be. Like, no one's actually holding you up. Like,
Paul's in to be that pillar of support. With people supporting me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls, and I cannot thank everybody enough. And we need to bring Paul and Gert and the girls there rock home to bring Nikki home.
I couldn't be happier. Swish and then whoosh.
Thank you very much, Snips, for the tippies. That's how the system works. I'll show everyone. I'll show everyone how it works. This is actually a better system than the YouTube system, so I get more of the money. Great, but obviously that is good, isn't it? Because, like, you know, it comes to me and you don't end up splitting it off and giving it to YouTube. And so this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And it comes up on the screen. It makes a swish and a swoosh, and I say thank you very much, Snips there, and I, you know, bring you up on the screen and say thank you. Like, that's a good system. Quite like it. Thank you. And I really do appreciate it. I really do. I'm not just making jokes about that. I've got considerably less money than any of these chuffers, so you know, just. But yeah, we're going places. We're going places. Things are going to start happening to me now. Yeah, so I was saying about support here. She's pursing her lips again at the end.
People supporting me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls.
Yeah, people supported me. We've been able to support Paul and the girls. We've been able to support Paul and the girls. I wondered as well, taking it all the way back to that kind of dark start point of, did Nicola leave the house? Is this someone else leaving the house? Has someone struck this person in the face? Why is their face so dark on the CCTV here? Is that makeup? Is it blusher? Or is it a bruise? And if that's not Nikki, have you been struck? Paul, in his speech, in his interview, he described going downstairs into a chaos situation in ways, and it could be that, like, they're fighting downstairs and Paul has gone and, instead of supporting his wife, he supported you.
Swish and then whoosh.
Swish and then whoosh. Exactly, that's how it works. Thank you very much, Tatalia. I totally appreciate this. Like, I mean, I really do. I really do. This represents my life coming together and moving forward. Thank you. Great streams, Tatalia says. And I really, really appreciate it. Like, that goes in the kitty. I'll tell you where it goes as well. I don't just spend it frivolously. I put it in, like, it comes through into PayPal, and I just put it in PayPal and leave it there until we need something for the stream, and then I use it to push us forward. I obviously need to pay bills as well, so at some point I'd like to start factoring in my own expenses and my lifestyle, and I think that hopefully will come from an actual sponsor and memberships and stuff like that. And I'll be really grateful. I'm really happy. You know, thank you for that, making my dreams come true. Making my dream world come true, and making it possible that I can sit here and do this on a day-to-day basis. So count as producers. That's the way I think of you, as producers, not just supporters, but producing this media. Yeah.
And I cannot thank everybody enough. And we need to bring Paul and Gert and the girls there rock home to bring Nikki home.
We need to bring Paul their rock home. A rock. Okay. strength, again, pillar of support, rock of the family. They're rock, yeah. But also imagery of mud, fields, rocks, something weighing you down.
With people supporting me, we've been able to support Paul and the girls, and I cannot thank everybody enough. And we need to bring Paul and Gert and the girls there, rock home, to bring Nikki home.
Saying in chat there you didn't notice the mark on her face in the CCTV. I've only been seeing these really small clips of CCTV. Like, they haven't shown the full. They've only shown pictures. I'd like to see the full thing. And I'm worried as well about this cheekbone definition, because I don't see Nicola having that cheekbone definition in her pictures so much. I see her as having a slightly more rounded what am I looking for? Open image in new tab. Rounded features.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier. Swish and then whoosh.
I'm going to have to leave this window open now. Got more windows than Buckingham Palace now. Thank you very much. More tippies coming in. I'll shout them out as they come through. Julie bought me a coffee. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just say thanks. I could say it there, but there's no point in me saying it there, look, because you're hearing me saying it now. But I really do appreciate it. Like, these days, more and more, this is a very important part of, I don't want to say like a business plan, but, you know, moving forward and being sustainable on a platform like this. So I'm open to it, and I'm happy, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. So thank you. Nicola's also quite grateful, isn't she, that she's in this position in some way?
Well, Em, I know you do an incredible job, and it's very much appreciated by Paul and many others there in the village. Thank you for your time tonight. Do take care of yourself. Really appreciate you speaking to us. She
shook her head at the end when he said the people in the village.
Home.
Well, Em, I know you do an incredible job, and it's very much appreciated by Paul and many others.
She's happy with that. You do an incredible job. It's appreciated. Half smile, nod of the head. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a good chuffer.
Others there in the village.
In the village? No. Not so much. No, they don't. They don't appreciate me. Don't get me started on those people in the village. She couldn't hold it back.
Well, Em, I know you do an incredible job, and it's very much appreciated by Paul and many others there in the village. Thank you for your time tonight. Do take care of yourself. Really.
Do take care of yourself. Don't end up dead in the fucking... What's he said it? I didn't say it. Do take care of yourself. He said it. I didn't say it. But do take care of yourself, Nicola. Do. Here she is again, looking quite different. This is something that I really think is interesting. Did I close that window? I did close that window. I did close it, so we don't get to see her again in comparison. But this here on Twitter now, I'm going to show it you on Twitter because it's on Twitter. This is just a shorter clip from Sky News. I'm going to try and play it a bit more quickly because, you know, it's just a shorter clip from Sky News. But what's really interesting to me here is how different she can look. I'm not trying to be harsh. I'm not trying to be rude to her. But the shorter hair, apparently, maybe it's a haircut, maybe it's a style. The way she's got it, you know, the way she's got it. I know because of hairdressing, we're looking at a slightly more elongated jaw shape.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier. Swish and then
whoosh. That's nice, isn't it, when they say that? It's actually more jovial. Chuffing awesome, your new favourite place to be. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much for sending me the tippies. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to have to stop saying I really do appreciate it to everyone because it starts to sound like a catchphrase, but I do. Like it means a lot to me that people resonate with some of the things we're saying, and hopefully we can continue to do that. And the only way we can is if we, you know, keep pushing forward and people support it. So thanks, I really appreciate it. The coat she's wearing in chat there as well, yeah, like the coat that was described as the one that Nicola was wearing, isn't it? But she looks quite different in this, and you can't always be on, you can't always look great, but it's interesting how different she can look. And I'm just saying that one person can look a bit different, and she's still got the same sort of look with the eye makeup and that, but I wonder how different she can look.
2 weeks on, and still we have no evidence, information of this, the key gate here behind us, and this part of the road, Garstang Road in St Michael's on Wyre. So we're out in force again today. The community is united once again.
It's that exact script again.
And it's a real last push just to jog people's memory to...
A real last push, which I don't like the sound of. A last push. I need to find something out now. I need to just... Hang on. Google Maps. Go on then, Google Maps. My house. No, not my house. Obviously, I live in that area now. Everyone's going to know. Not exactly there. I moved it. But in this area. Oh, everyone's going to know. They'll all come around my house. They won't, because I'll be out there with the axe. I won't. Obviously, I won't hit you with an axe as like a, you know, hello, nice to meet you. Have you seen my axe? But I do have like self-defense, like, you know, system at the house, which is an axe. Anyway, look, St. Michael's on Wire. This is where we are, and as you follow the river down, the River Wire. It's harder to see actually on satellite like this, isn't it? Why is it so hard to see? Maybe I'll go back to the like this. As you follow the river down, it comes closer to the sea. It gets more ebullient, gets more forceful, has more current, can really take you somewhere. It worries me that someone's just said one last push. Because, okay, you could say one last push as in, like, someone could have pushed her in at the benches. But I don't even know if she's got down there to those benches. What about something else? What about if you have to, like, push something off something high? We've had all these pinnacles, all these heights being described. You push someone off something high into something deep. And you have to, and then one last push. And I'm just wondering if there's anywhere on this river, or a quarry, or like, I can't see the topology of what's high and low. Like, you know, like you want, people are thinking about this body washing out to sea, and like, you know, if someone's done something, she could still be found washed out to sea and stuff. But if she's tragically committed suicide, which would be awful, and if you're thinking about that, then absolutely talk to Samaritans. Always talk to someone. Check out my work on mental health. But I've always found it difficult to think you could float all the way down to the sea without being seen, without catching on something, without any part of your clothing coming up, and still, you know, you make it all the way out there. And if you're trying to conceal a murder, you don't want that to happen. You're not going to just be like, oh, I hope the river does my work for me. That's okay then, the river's going to do it. Yeah, I'll just relax now. No, you're going to want to have like more certainty over something, and giving something one last push. I was talking about it before, about Paul saying about pushing through. Could there be a space in an attic maybe where you have to push something through, where you can then cover it up again and people don't know there's like a secreted space? It would start to smell, but for short term maybe pushing something through. But now I'm also thinking about, can you like push something through or down or into? Like if I saw in the near vicinity like a lake, like a quarry lake or something, then I'd be, oh, I don't like the language and I don't like the coincidence. Up this way we've got more ups and downs, haven't we? Garstang Road, that's the road that they talk about, the Garstang Road. That's Garstang over there, so it's in the area, but still a bit of a drive. Michael's on Wire here. So everyone's looking this way, the river flows out to the sea, yeah? So we're going to go the opposite way, we're going to go inland. Forest of Bowland. They talked about Morecambe Bay, didn't they? Again, you don't want things washing up at the sea, do you? Are there any big holes? Anything I can push something down or off? What's this? These are lakes. Maybe not. That's a trout fishery. You know, if I was seeing a big... Oh, I'm also thinking of pushing off a bridge. Maybe. About the river again. Going back to the river. I'm also feeling about... like, you know, talking about spirit guides. This is just me thinking psychologically. But it might be that I do have a spirit guide guiding me. Because like, it feels like I'm just like intuiting. Like, you know, I'm talking it through with you as my feelings are going, but I'm just letting my brain just do this automatic. Show me a bridge. Show me a big bridge that you'd have to hoist something up onto and push it off. You haven't got any, have you? Look, there's no... What's this? The Shard Bridge. It's too low. Low tide, high tide. That's not... This isn't it. And you're going to be seen. There's too many people coming and going. I don't know. It's just a thought anyway. I'm either thinking about some kind of... I'm surprised as well, because I would have thought in this area of the world there would have been some sort of mining, some leftover... I don't know. This is also topographically, obviously, like goes up here, doesn't it? Like this is all a bit high up. Ups and downs. Not seeing a lot of... You know, you got to walk up there. You're not dragging anything up a bloody mountain. But if you could drive up to somewhere and then bin it off, like, you know, like a cliff edge or something like that, you might end up pushing something off a cliff edge. Big splash at the bottom. Anyway, I can't exhaust that any further because, you know, I don't know. I just can't... Don't know how far to open that range. Because one of the issues of the decoy theory is that someone's taken the dog down, someone's dropped off the kids, maybe not even Nicola has dropped off those kids, yeah? Maybe not. Until you... And people are going to say, oh, you're being an idiot. Oh, look, there she is on CCTV. But is she? And if that was it, if that's... You've got a blurry CCTV, and I'm going to, you know, stake my life on that, then am I? Like, imagine that's your loved one, and they're saying, well, we've got this blurry CCTV picture, and so... Case closed. You're like, no. So... The problem with it is that it buys them time. Because if this is faked, and if they have taken the dog down to the river and created a decoy, again, Paul used that language, and decoys used by hunters to lure animals to their death, to lure animals to their death. So decoy. But what it does as a distraction is it buys you time, and with that time you can do all sorts of things. So the net can be wider. I'll tell you what you're not doing. You're not driving with someone's body down through to Blackburn, Preston, or anywhere like that. Like, you're not going anywhere where there's more police in an urban area. Like, that's insanity. This all looks beachy, doesn't it? You're not driving to Blackpool, are you? That would be insane. Although it's got a tower. Pillar of strength. She said pinnacle the other day, didn't she? Pinnacle. Like these sort of places, Beacon Fell and places like this, look, country parks, they're out in the middle of nowhere, aren't they? So that's probably better. There's a lake, but no way of... Where are you pushing things into? Anyway, I'm going to adjourn that part of it there, but it's just some ideas that's just going off in my mind there because of what she said on the interview.
Oh yeah, I was passing.
You don't like her instinctively. Maybe it was Emma in the park. A dead body would be pretty ripe, and all the dogs walking around there would pick up the scent. Yeah, like I know I have heard stories that people that have turned up, and you know it does happen, but I find it very, very difficult. The whole point is that it's the missing dog walker story doesn't make sense. So Occam's razor would say, you know, if something doesn't make sense, bin it off. Something like that. That's Occam's razor, something like that. The most probable, no matter how improbable or whatever, something like that. It doesn't have to be, just because they've said we start our search from here, can't we go back a step and can't we start our search from there? You know, I don't know. Witnesses said they stopped and spoke to her, so she was definitely seen in the park. Yes and no, you see, right? Like we stopped and spoke to her earlier on video. You watched a video of her. Now but like let's say that video we watched earlier, and now you run into this woman. Are you sure it's the same woman even? Like you might know her quite well. She might do her makeup differently and have a scarf on. She's got Nicola's dog. She's wearing Nicola's coat. Is it Nicola? Like, you might know Nicola reasonably well, and you might be walking your dog, and she might be on a phone call. So did you have a good chat with her? And is it good enough to be accurate? And like, I would also say, and I don't know, it's not the best example in the world, but Tia Sharp, neighbour. Tia Sharp murder, sad, tragic murder of Tia Sharp. The grandmother's neighbour was jailed for lying to the police. He actually deliberately lied. No one knows exactly why. Paul Meehan told investigators he saw the 12-year-old walk by, but she was already dead. So he got jailed for lying. So like, witnesses aren't always bang on. I'm not saying that witnesses are lying in this case. What I'm saying is they might just have seen Nicola's dog and might have just have made assumptions based on a brief snippet of conversation. And that if I were to ask you about who you talk to on your dog walks or, you know, pop by in the street and ask you to absolutely stake your life on the fact that it was definitely them, like, I think it can be part, like, if you're doing it deliberately, if you're going to say, right, I'm going to do Nicola's dog walk and I'm going to convince people that I'm Nicola, so I don't want them to think I'm not Nicola, that's going to be a big part of it. Then you've got to step above them. You've got an advantage because they're not expecting you to not be Nicola, like dressed up like Nicola, walking Nicola's dog, holding Nicola's phone, with Nicola's style of makeup on. I don't know. I mean, they probably know this woman as well, don't they? So they're probably used to seeing her. I was used to seeing her until she just dressed up like that. Someone asked me, did I smoke 5 of these in an episode? I kind of did, but this one's a real thin one. This is just a Skrillis, so, you know, chill. Anyway, what about the school? I don't know again. I don't know how this works. I don't know whether... I don't want to get the kids involved and interview the kids and all that. Don't know if there's CCTV at the school. Haven't seen it. But what I don't know as well is whether you just put the kids in the car, daddy puts them in the car, mummy just drives the car to the school, it's just down the road, they get out and they go to the school. And like, you know, mummy didn't say much in the car today. Like, I don't know. Like, is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? Possibly. Not. I don't know. If you're trying to cover up a murder, I'm trying to red flag it. I'm trying to say you're trying to cover up a murder. I'm trying to say if she was trying to cover up a murder and if Paul was involved and all that, this is what might have to be seen from this sort of stuff. And if I can't find anything, if I can't find any red flags, that's good for them. I'm doing like a steel man, like worst case scenario. So, do you know what, Dean? I do hope they do find her. I do keep thinking, you know, what will be next on the news. But I worry that what will be next on the news is a sporadic drip feed of information so they can keep selling papers. And I've already seen it. Paul did that interview and you got like 10 news articles. Paul says this, Paul says this, Paul says this. And they're all just 2 lines from the interview. Like there's 100 press cuttings now, 2 lines from the interview. Paul says this. Like they're just desperate to sell their papers. And the mainstream media are so scared of all the YouTubers and other people talking about it because they're not so relevant anymore. The mainstream media, we don't need them as much anymore. So, like, although here's me with the Sky News broadcaster. So, but they're so scared of losing it. Like Sky News interview here with Emma, 20,000 views. Some chuffer talking on YouTube about it, hundreds of thousands. Like not me, other people that are, you know, up there in the echelons of true crime. I'm just a chuffer. I'm not specifically true crime. I'm a generic chuffer. I'm a general chuffer, a true chuffer. Yeah, true chuffer. So. They're like scared of YouTube, aren't they? The mainstream media. They don't know. They don't understand it properly, and therefore the police are also scared of who's going to control the narrative and who's going to control the public image. So there's all of that going into it. Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting.
To jog people's memory to, oh yeah, I was passing that bridge. I've got dash cam footage, so we can try and build a picture of.
Oh yeah, I was passing that bridge. She says, as she herself has recently passed that bridge. Of course, she actually has, but. Maybe she's thinking about the day in question as well.
Oh, of this area to help the police in their investigation.
You did this last Friday, didn't you? You must have been hoping that you wouldn't be back this Friday.
Absolutely, yeah, there was that hope there. And last Friday, it ignited the surge of calls into 101 was excessive. They had to...
Same thing again, ignited. She's repeating the same words now. So what tends to happen when people have got to do this sort of thing, I know it's going to sound silly as a hairdresser, like, you might have the same conversation a few times and you might end up saying the same sort of things. Like someone might ask you, like me, the hairdresser, like, did you? I've been to the football recently. Did you enjoy the match? And I'll say, oh yeah, it was great. Yeah. How did it go? We scored one in the first half, and then like we fell back behind in the second half. But overall, it was good. And then another person comes in, they ask you the same thing, and you're just going to say a similar thing. Oh, we scored in the first half, and then we went behind in the second half, but it was good. And like you hear yourself repeating it again, so it becomes like a script that you yourself can self-edit. So now she's a bit more confident in the delivery of the exact same words as she said in the other interview.
To have an extra team pulled onto the resources, so when I wanted to answer the calls, so then that we had that hope that something's got to come of this information. Then we had the roller coaster, we had Peter and his guys down this week, which was amazing, and we can't thank them.
So she skimmed over the word roller coaster. She just said, then we had the roller coaster and we had Peter and his guys down. Like, what roller coaster? There was no roller coaster. You mean that roller coaster of emotions that you're now just saying as a word off a list instead of living those emotions?
Enough for coming all that way, that simple act of kindness, which was great in some respects, so it cemented the work that the police have done.
Cemented.
And we've now narrowed down that from the bench to the weir, we can categorically say that Nicola is not in there. So that again gave us great hope.
I do worry about construction as well. Pillars, cement.
We just need to bring Nikki home, whatever way it is. So that's why it's so important that we try and get some evidence of this area today that can then guide us into whichever direction it takes us.
Guide us into whatever direction it takes us. Interesting choice of words at the end. Help us find Nikki would have been what I would have said. After everything I've said, I'm going to put a red flag in that one as well then. But yeah, if you want to follow me on the old tweeter, I'll tell you what, I'm on the old tweet, but you never know. You never know what I might tweet. You don't know. I'm at Informal Films. You can't see it. You can't even see it properly on the screen. There you go. I've moved it now. Don't say I don't do anything for you. Don't say I don't do things for you. That's at Informal Films, me on Twitter. I tweet all sorts of stuff. I also tweet all sorts of rubbish about this streamer called Darkside Phil. I tweet little clips. I retweet people. And I tweet AI images that I've created. It's all just all sorts of stuff. So, if you like that sort of thing, that's Twitter. And also, I'll tell you what, I'm friends with lots of different people on Twitter, and I might not like everything they say. I'm friends with both. Like, at the moment, there's a big debate going on about trans rights and not having sexual predators in the toilets dressed as women. And I kind of agree with both those things. So I follow both parts. I don't want sexual predators dressed as women in the toilets, thanks. But I also think trans rights are okay. So I follow different kinds of people on Twitter. So it's an interesting place. So even if you are not, and this is something I want to say today about chat as well. I've got lots of new people in chat today, and we might have differences of opinions on some things. That's fine. Now, I've been quite harsh today, red flagging Nicola. That's fine. But what I mean is that, if you're a Brexit, in the UK, Brexit's a great example. It's all done now. Okay, I've got my opinions, you've got your opinions. If we start arguing about them, it gets us nowhere. Arguments don't get anyone anywhere. It's about trying to learn and understand other people's points of view and trying to get a feel for what they're going through, and then you might get somewhere. So we can have these discussions, that's fine. I'm not going to be banning people in chat. I'm not going to be learning that, oh, you like this thing and I don't like it, and you vote for this chuffer and I vote for that chuffer, or don't even vote at all, or whatever. We're not going to be having rows on that level. That's not what I'm about. But everyone is welcome, and I don't have to agree with all your ideas. Talking about ideas as well, because everything I've put forward today has just been ideas, hasn't it? It's just been thoughts, ideas about Nicola and Emma and Paul. They're ideas, they're thoughts, and they're only there's no physical. It's not like this cup, is it? That I have to wash my ideas, keep my ideas safe. Don't drop my ideas. They're just thoughts. They can come and go, and they don't define anything either. So you are not a collection of ideas. In some ways, you are a collection of ideas, but in other ways, you're not. In other ways, you're a heart and a soul and a kind person, that I respect. So even if we don't agree on everything, I'm going to keep. And I want, if you're listening to this, bear that in mind in the future as we go through all sorts of different ideas together. Ideas can be transient, but love is forever. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to make that point before, because we're getting to know people. You're all new in chat to me, a lot of you, and I'm really lucky to have this spotlight shone on my channel for my videos to be getting views. I'm really grateful. So as things go forward, I hope that a lot of you want to stay and watch more of the content on the Super Chuffer channel. I didn't get to do the police today. We'll look at the police another day. Hopefully they don't find Nicola soon and I can keep doing content about it. Hopefully they do find Nicola soon, and we don't have. Hopefully I have the opportunity to make many videos taken away from me by her turning up safe and sound, and I turn out to be wrong. That would be a good thing, in all honesty. Not necessarily for me, but in general, it would be good. So let's hope for that. But in the lieu of that, I will keep making content. I will keep trying to make a variety of content as well, so it won't all be Nicola Bulley related. And tonight I'm on Twitch playing Genshin Impact, which I'm due on now. Going to be a little bit late starting tonight, but might just be a short one tonight on Genshin Impact. But I want to get in a bit of Genshin Impact. Usually I don't stream at weekends on YouTube. I stream a little bit of gameplay on Twitch, and unless something really serious happens on the Nicola Bulley case, that will be the case. So back on Monday for an episode of Thus. If Steve is well, then he will be on as well. If he's not well, then I will either reschedule, try and get a different interview, or I've got a little cheeky idea, that we might do. I'm just cheeky idea that we might do a bit of a call-in, or find some way of getting you to be able to send in messages so that we can hear what you think about things, and then I can just react to your thoughts. There's this thing called SpeakPipe, which we might trial. What am I doing? That's not SpeakPipe, you chuffer. SpeakPipe. So you can start, I use it to send messages. To that being said, start recording. So I can set this up. You can send me a load of messages and then I just play them on the stream. That's an option. Or there's another option where I open up a room, like a video room. Like this, create a room. And when I've created the room password, good room, nice room. There's no password today, but let's just create this room to show you what it is. Then in here, I can invite guests, look, and you can be guests in the room. So once you're in the room, I can hear you. You can be heard. So we could have like a interactive multi-person. You can just do that on your phone. Once you've got the link, you join, you're on the thing. And it's going to be difficult for me because there's going to be like more than one person in the room at a time, maybe. And I have to start muting people and, okay, your turn. Okay, bye you, delete. Okay, your turn. And, organising it or what have you. But initially, I've got control. I can mute and I can unmute and stuff. So, I don't know if that's a good idea because people might say bad things on the internet on my channel. But I like the idea of bringing in more people and bringing in more voices. And certainly your voices. So, look out for that. That might be on Monday. It might not, depending on how I feel and depending on how things get set up. It might be that we've got Steve on. He's currently got COVID, so we don't know about that. But I would, of course, before I leave now, I'm going to say remember to be good, not naughty. I'm really grateful to you all here in chat. I'm really grateful to the people that tipped as well, especially the subscribers, which are pushing us towards that magic figure of 1,000, which opens up memberships and community aspects to the channel. So that's massive. That's huge. I kind of want to say this, so I'm just going to say it as well. I've been doing this for nearly 2 years. February marked our 2-year anniversary. Just recently. I've done the media production and stuff before, but streaming, 2 years. Using this channel, 2 years. And it's not been a terrible hard slog because there have been some people there that have been really supportive. Snips is here in chat now. This is one of those that's going to make me feel emotional now, actually. Like I said earlier about crying. Like, Capital K, there was a day when I was streaming on Twitch and he dropped 50 subs on me. And it was like, it got me to Twitch affiliate so I could monetize it. So I could like take memberships on there. Like, that was a huge thing to do. It was like, and Snips' consistent support, Nigel as well. There are others. I'm not going to sit and list names because it gets boring as content, but there are people who know who I'm talking to, know I'm talking about. And over this last 2 years, I've done lots of different stuff and it's been good and I've been learning and I've been getting there. And like, I feel like recently I started wearing this jacket, started making a bit more of an effort, started talking about trying to make more of an effort. I feel like things are coming together at the right time, and I'm glad that I did 2 years of not the busiest streams, not the most popular streamer, and I'm glad that I've been consistent enough to keep coming back to it and keep putting in some work. and keep trying to push it forward and not being defeated. And I wouldn't be able to do that if you can stream on your own sometimes, and I see it as like a private recording session. You know, no one's turned up to stream today. I'll still run the stream and then it'll be up there on the internet as a video. So some of those really early ones, like 15 views, I don't think there were many people there for that, but it's still there. You know, I still did it. I still ran the full stream, still went through it. I'm not going to say, okay, there's no one here today, I'm going to turn it off, I'm sad. But I didn't have to do that more often than not, because there were people there. And the more we get, like, it might be that this is a bit of a big boon for my channel, this Nicola Bulley case, and I'm getting more people watching my videos now. They might not all stick around, and it might, you know, plateau out a bit. It might slow down a bit after that. There might be other rises and falls. That's what social media is like. But hopefully I can keep enough of you here entertained and enjoying the conversation and stuff like that. I'm just really grateful that we've got there. Like, it feels like when I say got there, we're getting there step by step, and it took work and it's taken time, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not like agitated and like, I don't need a rocket ship. I don't need a rocking horse, I need a real one to take me away. How long to build a rocket ship I need so quick when I feel like I'm sinking in further. When making up might not be easy, but it's part of my nature to love you, then hate you, then love you. Yeah, I just feel like things are happening in a good... like, it's written, like it's supposed to be good, like it's supposed to be happening like this, and I'm lucky, and I think I'm falling apart with my words now, so I hope I put across the sentiment that I desired there, which is thank you, gratitude, thank you. Let's keep going, let's keep moving forward. This isn't the end of it. This isn't just me sitting here talking to you, churning over some videos. We can go further than this. There's more to it. Not specifically with Nicola Bulley and all that, but with content creation.
Again.
So
I couldn't be happier.
Mary V sent tippies.
And then whoosh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Like, it's almost a bit like having a hat, you know, being a busker and having a hat out, and you know, for people to be sending in tippies, that's massive as well. That's like, you know, it's not it's not a small thing. It's not a small thing. It's I don't want to get too emotional now. I'm not going to like start crying because I got a tippy, but like, it's not a small thing. I appreciate it. I really do. I really do. So yeah, let's go some places. Let's get some places. But yeah, for now I'm going to sign off. I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to walk my doggy, and then I'm going to come back on Twitch later. I play games on Twitch just for fun. Like, it's not like I think that one day I'm going to be the most popular children's entertainer over on Twitch. That's probably not going to happen. But there's a bit of Genshin Impact stuff to do over there. A bit of a game that I play. A bit of stuff to do over there. So that's going to come back later tonight. But it might be a short stream because I've done quite a lot on here today. Expect me back on Monday. And have a good weekend yourselves. Remember as well, I always say that this Nicola Bulley stuff, all this stuff, it's dark, it's sad, it's tragic. And we've all got lives to push on with as well. So if you feel yourself getting down that rabbit hole, feeling it's dark, feeling it's sad, feeling it's tragic, if you feel it's getting on top of you, then take a break. You know, I'm going to encourage you to watch more of my content, of course, after I sign off now. Watch my videos. But if you feel it's getting too much, then thank you very much, MM, who's chipped into the kitty, who's helping me to live, helping me to push my life forward. I really appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, if it gets too much, take a break. If it's too much for your mental health, watch some comedy or take a walk or cook some nice food. Remember to keep yourself healthy and well. And don't overload yourself with these burdens. There's a lot of us here. We're all helping to shoulder the burdens together. If you ever need someone to reach out a hand to hold and to help you, come back to the stream and talk to us. We're always here for that as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your lovely comments in chat. And remember, if you can't be good, you're naughty.